deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, We have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Things are getting dangerous. That's what KJP keeps saying in response to just about any question that's lobbed her way. For example, yesterday at the briefing, she was asked about the comments that J.D. Vance made at the Faith and Freedom Coalition event. The difference between the right and the left.
And I'm not going to say we're always perfect. I'm not going to say that conservatives always get things exactly right. But you know the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and 2 people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out.
So KJP was asked about that, and here's what she said.
The difference between, in his view, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is that no one has tried to assassinate Vice President Harris.
You know,
measured as always.
Again, going to be mindful. Obviously, he's a candidate. But when you are a national leader and you have a community that looks up to your leadership and you have a job where you're supposed to make people's lives better, where you're supposed to do the thing that is right on behalf, not just the American people, but on behalf of this country, people entrust in you to do just that, entrust in you to make decisions that's going to move this country forward, to make it the great country that it is. And when you have that type of language out there, it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Again, the real problem associated with the tumult of this week, 1, Trump plays golf. 2,
it's his fault. He shouldn't be playing golf.
Trump and Vance both are trafficking in debunked reporting about some of the conduct of Haitian migrants in Springfield, so they brought it on themselves. And 3, by acknowledging what has occurred over the last 2 months, J.D. Vance is dangerous. That's dangerous rhetoric. Calling J.D. Vance and President Trump threats to our democracy. Not dangerous rhetoric. Not dangerous rhetoric. And Peter Ducey found out the hard way how dangerous that is. Dangerous again.
It's been only 2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Zing.
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question. The question that you're asking, it is also incredibly dangerous.
Dangerous.
In the way that you're asking it.
Dangerous. He's a threat to democracy now.
American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence, from an administration where the president called the former president and was thankful, grateful that he was okay.
Why? He's Hitler.
From an administration who has called out January 6th, called out the attack of Paul
J6, bring
Pelosi,
J6.
called out and said we need to lower the temperature after the Butler incident. And now for you to make that kind of comment in your question, because your question involved a comment and a statement. And
Questions often do.
you know, it is that is also
Yeah, that's also dangerous. Dangerous times, especially if essentially you have a room temperature IQ like KJP does. Well, you can throw Kamala in too, but
please.
KJP is the subject at hand. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Everything that Republicans say is dangerous. They are happy that Trump is okay.
Yeah.
They routinely condemn violence. I mean, except if it's righteous violence in pursuit of social justice, like the Summer of Love 2020. Not only did they not condemn it, they tried to underwrite it, starting with their presidential nominee. But that's the line. Everything is dangerous. They're the vanguard of the democracy. And there's a really good piece I want to get to by our friend Leo Leibowitz, normally of Tablet, but he writes in First Things, characterizing 2024 as the screw tape election. It's very good. Tom in Blue Island, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Tom.
Tom, are you there?
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Sorry, I've been standing out here. Dan, I've reached a point of beyond civility. I don't have the ability for it. And I'm not rooting for violence, obviously. When you hear KJP talk, when you hear Kamala Harris talk, when you hear J.B. Pritzker talk, the only thing that clicks in my head is, would you please shut up? It's too crazy.
Thanks for the call, Tom. That's just gentle pushback. That's okay. Joe in East Dundee.
Yeah, Dan and Amy. If 20,000 Haitians showed up in Bartlett Park, that's in Illinois here.
Yeah.
And all these Karens from the suburb are basically saying, let them in. They would be, crying for the National Guard. They'd be crying for the Air Force, for the Marines, And the same thing happened up in the East Coast when, they shipped busloads of illegals, and they cleared it up real quick.
Yeah, there's no question. Thanks for the call, Joe. I mean, it's no question these are stylish positions that are taken that become very uncomfortable and unwieldy when the consequences are visited upon those taking these stylish positions. When there are consequences attached, boy, the tune changes very quickly. Of course, that's true. But just referencing, we'll get into it maybe a little bit later, but referencing this piece, and I haven't read the Screw Tape letters in a while, so it's fun to revisit them. Of course, this is one of C.S. Lewis's masterpieces. Leo Leibowitz makes the point in the letters that Screw Tape writes to Wormwood, if you know the story. The trouble with argument is that it moves the whole struggle onto the enemy's own ground. The enemy in the Screw Tape letters is God. The trouble with argument is that it moves the whole struggle onto the enemy's own ground. By the very act of arguing, Screw Tape warns Wormwood, you awake the patient's reason, and once it's awake, who can foresee the result? The point he's making in calling this a Screw Tape election, speaking to the Kamala Harris campaign, is that there's a purposeful avoidance of argumentation because this is not a place for reason. Reason is what's dangerous to KJP and to Kamala and to this whole new Bolshevik party at every level, federal, state, local. The trouble with argument is that it moves the whole struggle onto the enemy's own ground. And it highlights the larger point that the antidote to KJP and Kamala is argument, rather than sentimentality in exchange for sentimentality, which the right is always sort of susceptible to. Oh, they do such a good job making an emotional connection. Our content needs to be more emotive, sort of, but not in the way of their cheap sentimentality, their barbaric sentimentality. Actually, everything is dangerous. Everything's a threat. We're the vanguard. These aren't arguments. These are declarations. The antidote to that is argumentation, which is why it's unfortunate that Trump isn't better making cogent, succinct arguments, because that's what really undermines what you hear and what frustrates Tom from Blue Island and so many others when you have to listen to this sing-songy bull jive from all of their mouthpieces. Mark's outside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I think every Trump supporter out there knows that they were going to try to assassinate him. The reason I say that, you'd be very hard-pressed to find a Trump supporter who has never said, if they have to, they'll resort to their last resort, which is to kill him. So none of this is a surprise to me anyways.
Thanks for the call, Mark. George, Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, it's like that old show, Lost in Space. Warning, Will Robinson, danger, danger. Everything is dangerous.
Thanks for the call, George. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll have some updates on the latest assassination attempt on Trump. Of course, that happened on Sunday. We've been talking about it all week. And
it was Trump's fault.
And the person who was responsible for that attempted attack on Trump's life.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5:31 on AM 560. The answer, Israel reportedly responsible for the hundreds of pagers that blew up simultaneously across Lebanon on Tuesday.
Around 4 p.m. Beirut time, 9 a.m. Eastern, we started getting reports of very large numbers of Hezbollah militants, all wounded, all simultaneously in southern Beirut, in southern Lebanon, and really all across the country.
The New York Times cites American and other officials saying Israel targeted members of the Hezbollah terrorist group. Lebanese officials say 9 were killed, 2,800 were injured. Former President Trump taking part in a town hall moderated by Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Sanders in his first public rally since a second assassination attempt on his life. Former president vowing to lower energy costs if reelected.
It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%.
Vice President Kamala Harris holds a 2-point lead ahead of the former president in the latest Rio Clear Politics poll average. The FBI and U.S. Postal Service are investigating mail containing a white powder sent to election offices in at least 17 states, many of them here in the Midwest. Law enforcement saying that at this point, none of the packages are believed to be hazardous. Opening bell ringing this morning on Wall Street. Stocks closing mixed, awaiting word on the Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates later today. Sean Combs is being denied bail and will remain detained in connection to his federal criminal case. Defense lawyer for Combs, Mark Agnafilo, argued his client's innocence in front of reporters after court ended.
The government didn't want him to turn himself in. He came here to turn himself in. Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Combs' legal defense team is appealing the judge's decision. Prosecutors arguing the hip-hop and business mogul is a flight risk and a danger to the public. The UAW planning to hold a strike authorization vote against Stellantis, Chrysler, and Dodge. UAW President Shawn Fain says the automaker is not meeting the agreements of the contract approved last year. Part of that contract, the promise to open a plant here in Belvedere. Clear skies overnight helped us view a partial lunar eclipse overnight. Watch out for early morning fog. Jury deliberations are underway in the trial of former AT&T Illinois President Paulie Sciazza, accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. The jury deliberating for about an hour and a half without reaching a verdict. The state's gun ban was debated before a federal judge in East St. Louis yesterday. AM 560's Greg Bishop will join us at 6:02 and give us an update on court yesterday. And Will County authorities are working to identify the remains of a 1968 cold case homicide. The remains of a female were discovered in September of 1968. The remains were exhumed last Friday and a portion sent to a forensic lab in Texas to try and obtain DNA analysis and a possible genealogy match. Cubs left 9 runners stranded in a 4-3 loss to the A's. White Sox had just 6 hits in a 5-0 loss to the Angels. Bears begin their week of practice at Hallis Hall today, prepping to face the Colts on the road. This morning, word that Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will be placed on injured reserve after suffering a severe concussion in Miami's loss to Buffalo. The news, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice, 630-674-1551 or healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
An important message from Byram Healthcare. If you live with diabetes, you know how challenging and painful it can be to manage your blood sugar. Whether you have private insurance, traditional Medicare, or Medicaid, that can all change. If you inject insulin or have hypoglycemic events without insulin, you may qualify to receive, at little or no cost, less copay and deductible, a continuous glucose monitor. It provides blood sugar readings with no uncomfortable finger sticks. It alerts you in real time to potential spikes and lows with your blood sugar levels. Byram Healthcare has been named Best Overall Diabetes Supply Company 4 years in a row by Verywell Health. We carry all major brands and will work with your insurance to get your CGM approved. If you have diabetes, call a U.S.-based Byram Healthcare specialist now. See if you qualify and end the finger stick.
Call 888-983-3043. 888-983-3043. That's 888-983-3043.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
5:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this look at travel times is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. The Kennedy already stop and go between Austin and Montrose 25 and climbing into the Burn Circle interchange. I-55, Will County. Exit ramp closed. The off-ramp to I-80 shut down due to ongoing roadwork. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and warm, high 87, clear and cool overnight, low 61. We have fog in Aurora, DuPage Airport, Kankakee, fog in Morris, fog in Lansing, so spreading across the western and southern suburbs this morning. At O'Hare, 61 and clear, 68 at Midway. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. My counterculture podcast this week, posted yesterday, Mike Olson, former Secret Service agent who we've had on this show as well. And part of our conversation was about whether or not this would-be assassin who was lying in wait for Trump on his golf course on Sunday is someone that should have risen to the attention of Secret Service. You know, you want to be fair about this because Secret Service, like any of these federal law enforcement agencies, is going to get all kinds of tips all the time, some legitimate, some from kooks. It's going to have, you know, all sorts of alleged threats that are afoot that they have to deal with, and so they have to make some judgment calls and separate the wheat from the chaff and rank order priority the information they're getting and, you know, make these judgment calls, as I said. So, but with this guy, I mean, the media profile he had, getting profiled in the New York Times, these interviews that he's doing, the fact that he has a felony record, you know, just sort of the notoriety combined with his record and his political activism, social media postings, the self-published book where he talks openly about assassinating Trump. I mean, that's where you start to get to, okay, this is somebody who is in at least at a heightened threat level than the normal nitwit on social media just spouting off. And Mike Olson's response was, yeah, I mean, basically he should have been. And one of the questions is, since you had people that had interacted with him, including overseas, also flagging him as somebody who of concern. Talked about that yesterday. A former CIA analyst, a nurse who was in theater in Ukraine, who talked to an ICE official at the airport about him. I mean, so you all these little bits and pieces of interactions, and everybody is sort of seeing red flags. And there's some interaction with law enforcement. There's a lot of interaction with media. It doesn't take much to then go online and find what everybody else has now found and is discussing. So, what was there any tracking? I mean, this is sort of the question. Was there any tracking of him in terms of his movement? to and from Ukraine, for example. Well, sort of. The report yesterday from John Solomon, Just the News. He was interviewed by Customs and Border Protection officials when he returned from Ukraine last year and flagged for further investigation based on spontaneous comments he made to agents. But the vaunted Homeland Security Department, ably headed up by Alejandro Marcus, declined to act. The records show that Customs and Border Protection knew that this would-be assassin had traveled to Warsaw, near the Ukraine border, and to Istanbul in 2022 and 2023, and had admitted in his interview that he'd been recruiting as many as 100 foreign fighters from Taiwan, Afghanistan, Moldova to join Ukraine's war against the Russian invasion. In fact, the CBP interview notes, quote, subject is a USC, United States citizen, who traveled to Kyiv, Ukraine for 3 months to help recruit soldiers from Afghanistan, Moldova, and Taiwan to fight in the Ukrainian war against Russia. Subject stated he does not get paid for his recruiting efforts, and all his work for the Ukrainian government is strictly volunteer work. Subject provided his recruiting business card, which lists his recruiting partners that he speaks with to recruit soldiers from Afghanistan, Romania, Pakistan, Syria, and Israel. Subject stated that he obtains money from his wife to help fund his trips to Ukraine. The memo stated that the Ukraine advocate was referred to Homeland Security, but the division declined to pursue the matter. HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, was contacted and refused the case. So, we don't know the basis, at least not yet, for the decision that Homeland Security Investigations made, but that certainly demands some follow-up. So you got this information, and did you do a cursory Google search on this dude and read some of his musings on social media and in print media? This is why I'm so pleased with Ron DeSantis, again, who is filling the breach here. And he talked again about his decision, his announcement that Florida is going to do its own state-level investigation into what happened in West Palm Beach. And here's why.
I think what will reveal, I think, is the important thing. What the state does is going to be made public. I mean, if you guys know who are from Florida, you can FOIA a lot of the stuff that's done in these investigations under Florida sunshine laws, and then they have a charge to be very frank and exercise candor with the public. I want the information to get out. I do not want any of the information kept under wraps. We're not a party to anything that happened in terms of the state of Florida government. I mean, we have been asked to help in the past on security, and we're always willing to do that. But that wasn't our primary. We were not responsible for it that day. We've not been responsible for any of the prosecutions that have been brought against the former president. So we're in a great situation to be able to look at this with clear eyes, get answers, and then deliver those answers to the public. I don't think anyone can honestly claim that the federal government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's just the reality. That's just how these guys operate. Apart from any type of political bias, that's how it's been really for many, many years. That's not how it's going to be here. And so we'll cooperate with all agency or all levels of government, because I think that some of those gun charges may be appropriate to bring, but not to the exclusion of bringing a charge for something like attempted murder.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, he's fighting for Trump. And this is why he is the best governor in America.
Well, he's also fighting for the American people so that we have some accounting here and some accountability with these agencies. And it was interesting that Secret Service agent Mike Olson, I'm saying, yeah, he's happy that DeSantis is doing this because it does provide a check on the FBI and Secret Service. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what the relationships are between, say, the Secret Service point man in Miami and the FBI point man in Miami. We know the FBI point man in Miami
hates Trump.
It doesn't like Trump. And so is this investigation going to be a CYA investigation? You back my play, I'll back your play. What's the relationship? Is it going to be something that is robust, real accountability? I don't know, but the track record suggests that these agencies don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, and that's basically what DeSantis is saying. In addition to that, as he mentioned the other day, which is another thing that's obvious, but of course you're not going to get this discussion within the D.C. press corps ranks, a little bit of a conflict of interest. The agency that is investigating the assassination attempt is the same agency that is working with federal prosecutors to put President Trump in jail. Little conflict of interest. Oh, I know. There are walls of separation set up, and these are professionals, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Again, sorry. Benefit of the doubt has been lost. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. I mean, I know, I'm sure many on the left are, completely comfortable with Merrick Garland's announcement that he is going to do an exhaustive probe of this this latest assassination. Merrick Garland's doing an exhaustive probe of it. So, fears allayed.
Well, we still haven't found out information about the first guy.
Well, right, and now we have Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, released a whistleblower report that include failures that have not been reported previously. As we're waiting for this larger report on what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of things we don't know 2 months later, and maybe the other thing that the DeSantis backstop provides is a little incentive for the FBI to act with more alacrity. The Josh Hawley whistleblower report. Secret Service intel units were absent from Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th. The intelligence units are teams of Secret Service agents paired with state and local law enforcement to handle reports of suspicious persons, but they weren't there in Butler. He found that the hospital where Trump was treated was poorly secured. We sort of saw that with that Reno 911 routine going on there, just like it was going on at the rally. The hospital site agent failed to answer basic questions regarding site security. The report further highlights, this is a whistleblower report, not the full report that we're waiting for from the July 13th committee, as it were. The report further highlights neither Secret Service nor the Department of Homeland Security provided answers about who made the decisions to deny counter-sniper coverage to the rooftop where the shooter shot Trump. The report also says neither agency publicly will name the lead site agent for the rally. Right, we've heard that in congressional testimony from Ron Rowe. I'm not going to get into naming names. No, because that would necessitate accountability. They also did not answer questions about reports that the Secret Service denied the Trump campaign the protection requested. So this task force, this whistleblower report was shared with the task force, who is supposed to be producing this larger, more comprehensive report that's been previewed even by Democrats as something that will shock the conscience of the American people. We'll see. But these agencies deserve the benefit of the doubt. We're supposed to sit on our hands and wait. We're supposed to tell Ron DeSantis to stand down. No, I don't think so. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. So when the federal government stonewalls Ron DeSantis' investigation, how do you think that's going to play out? What do you think he should do?
Well, thanks for the call, Jim. I don't think they can stonewall it. I mean, I suppose they can, make jurisdictional plays that prohibit state and local investigators from accessing sites they need or evidence they need to conduct a thorough investigation. But if you just heard DeSantis saying, I will cooperate with the feds, but we're going to do our own thing. So if there is federal obstruction with a state level investigation, then I suspect Ron DeSantis will call it out. And that's exactly his utility in this whole saga. Corey and Woodlawn.
Thanks for taking the call, Dan. Morning, Amy. There's a clear pattern here of these deranged individuals finding themselves around the Secret Service and the FBI and somehow in close proximity to Donald Trump. and this doesn't make any sense. I heard the earlier caller say that he wants these guys to shut up. They constantly preach this division in these neighborhoods. If you come into these cities and into these communities, that's all they preach is hatred for Republican, hatred for white people, and then they have the nerve to get on television and say that they're not the ones that's fanning these flames. This is where these flames are coming from.
Yeah. Thanks, Corey. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, thank you much for taking my call. I'll tell you the question that needs to be asked in both of these cases, both of these assassination attempts, the absolute, it might even be the only, not only the best, only best location to get a clear shot, really well within range and everything, and way in closer than they normally would kind of like find and everything. Two Dumbo attempted assassins found that location and was able to set up in those locations, but our premier agencies couldn't identify ahead of time those locations and protect them or think. Listen, you could talk about what they should have seen on the media or whatever. Those locations are no accident. There's something really crazy about these guys setting up and being able to take shots from those spots.
Thanks for the call, Craig.
Yeah,
well,
they both knew what they were doing. I mean, they both. Well, I'm sure
sort
they
of.
scouted it out.
Sort of. I mean, they had a lot of help, just in terms of. I mean, at this stage, from what we know, they had a lot of help because of the incompetence, or the indifference, or some combination of the two. I mean, going back to Mike Olson, who's talk about it, expert on this, retired Secret Service agent, 22 years on the job there. You know, even if you're not getting the incumbent presidential level detail, and even if it's, you know, off schedule to go play golf like they were alleging. So how do you not sweep the perimeter, do a pass through of the perimeter before Trump tees off? Because as we know, as the FBI has disclosed, the would-be assassin was sitting in the bushes for 12 hours. So if you had swept the property, then you would have seen him, ostensibly, or you would have cleared the area, by the 5th and 6th hole where he was staged.
I mean, the guy was wearing a pink shirt, for God's sakes. I mean, it's not like he wasn't sticking out. Well, he wasn't trying to blend in. He wasn't wearing camouflage. He had a pink shirt on.
Well, right. I mean, if you're hiding, if you're hiding by your car in West Palm Beach in the bushes around Trump International, that's a bit conspicuous too, regardless of the color of your T-shirt. But all this, like the resources thing, resources this and paradigm shift that, even with the resources you had, very much like Butler, you had law enforcement standing around. It was a leadership problem. Nobody said, "Hey, you on that elevated position on that roof,
go now." Yeah, no. Nothing.
So. You know, this is another misdirection, talking about, well, resources and this and that and protocols. And no. This is a lack of interest and a dearth of competent leadership. That's what it feels like to me.
And the next thing you know, they'll tell him that he shouldn't play golf anymore.
Right. You know,
seriously, that's probably you brought this upon yourself.
Well,
that's what the mainstream media is saying right now.
What was the response after Butler? No more outdoor rallies.
Right.
No more outdoor rallies, no more golf. Listen, why don't you just say we can't protect you, or we don't want to? Frank in Arlington Heights.
Good morning. I really applaud Governor DeSantis for doing this, but it's really sad that he has to. But then again, of course, I don't believe a word that any of these agencies, these federal agencies, say. Mm-hmm. Everything is a lie all the time. I don't know of anybody who is, in my circles, I don't know anybody who has any faith in anything that these people say. So it's really sad we have to do that.
You weren't impressed with Acting Director Rowe, Secret Service, when he talked about how he is going to initiate a paradigm shift from reactive to readiness and have hard conversations about necessary needs to make sure they're successful every day. You weren't impressed by that, Frank?
No, I was not impressed by that. You know, they're all intellectual slobs as far as I'm concerned. They're all liars. We just ought to put an L next to their name on the TV when we say what state they're from and what party they're from. L, Illinois, L, Texas, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all lies.
all the time.
Thanks for the call, Frank. By the way, I asked Mike Olson, what does that mean, go from reactive to readiness? And he said, I don't know. I don't know.
It's just
The Secret
bunch of
Service,
gobbledygook.
the Secret Service is not supposed to be a reactive institution. It's supposed to be a security planning, investigative, and protective organization, and that necessarily means you're on your toes, not on your heels. But that bureaucrat speak that you heard from Ron Rowe, I guess that suffices on the Hill. It suffices for half the country too, unfortunately.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Kamala stands before that Black Journalists Association. We'll do a little compare and contrast about how she was treated before as compared to how Trump was at 6:06.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Jury deliberations in the trial for the ex-AT&T boss continue today. Will County authorities exhuming remains from a 1968 cold case. Cubs lose to the A's. Sox get blanked by the Angels. And WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Running for president is dangerous. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what former President Trump said at his first event since the second assassination attempt.
You have to do what you have to do, right? We have to be brave. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country left.
That was at a town hall in Flint, Michigan. Today, the former president will hold a rally on New York's Long Island, and he told Fox's Hannity,
"You need more protection, and we've long requested more people."
Vice President Harris in Philadelphia says we can debate and disagree.
Not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
At a Q&A with black journalists, the vice president was critical also of the former president's claims Haitian migrants are eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, which officials there say isn't true.
You cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric.
Hezbollah wants revenge. The day after exploding pagers targeting militants in Lebanon left 12 people dead, thousands injured.
A Lebanese security sources told Reuters that Israel's spy agency Mossad planted explosives inside 5,000 pagers. Many of the communications devices exploded virtually at the same time. Hezbollah sees it as an unprecedented security breach and has vowed to retaliate. Israel won't comment. The pagers were initially thought to have come from Taiwan, but it's now suggested they were manufactured under license in Hungary.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Sean Diddy Combs spent another night in jail, though the rapper and music producer will try again to be freed at a hearing today.
Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo says he's appealing a judge's decision to deny Sean Diddy Combs bail.
He's doing fine. He's a fighter. He's a fighter, and he's going to fight this.
Combs pleading not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges, accused of using his media empire to control and carry out criminal activity.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. America's listening to Fox News.
61 degrees, fog in the area this morning. 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Jury deliberations are underway in the trial of the former AT&T Illinois President Paul Sciazza, accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan. Sciazza was indicted in October of 2022 with conspiring to pay a former state lawmaker $2,500 a month in consulting fees, all part of a plan to win Madigan's backing of legislation in Springfield. The state's gun ban was debated before a federal judge in East St. Louis yesterday. AM 560's Greg Bishop was in court for deliberations.
On preliminary grounds, the Seventh Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals ruled available rifles Illinois banned in January 2023 are too similar to military-grade rifles and are able to be regulated. Now up for final judgment in the Southern District of Illinois Federal Court, Day 2 of the bench trial was dominated by James Ronkanen, a former longtime engineer and director of firearms development and production for Remington. He said there are material differences between MSRs and military-spec firearms. Langley plaintiff's attorney Thomas Magg explained the impact of his testimony.
The witness explained correctly that there is a distinction in the AR-15 and the M16 lower receivers and internal parts. You cannot simply put fully automatic parts in a run-of-the-mill semi-automatic AR-15.
The trial continues in East St. Louis Wednesday morning. In East St. Louis, I'm Greg Bishop.
A third arrest has been made in connection to recent social media threats directed at schools in Joliet. This time, police arresting a 12-year-old The child believed to be a student at Dirksen Junior High School. 2 students have been expelled from Prairie Heights High School in northwest Indiana after making violent threats. LaGrange County Sheriff's Office saying the threats were made on Saturday, and they worked with the school district and Steuben County sheriffs to track down the source. The 2 teens made separate, unrelated threats. And Tinley Park police are patrolling Grissom Middle School for the rest of this week after a threat was made against that school. The ongoing debate over whether to keep ShotSpotter, the technology used by police to alert them when gunfire is heard, will come up for a vote at Chicago's City Council today. Mayor Brandon Johnson continues to double down on his criticism of that program.
I would just hope that the alders recognize that, we cannot mimic the behavior of the federal government where rules are just being broken because you have the interests of corporations who are trying to sell a product that we've spent almost $100 million on, and they promised that it would reduce violence, and it did not do that.
Aldermen backing the tech like Ray Lopez say they'll call for a special city council meeting today to override calls by Johnson that the buck stops with him on renewing the ShotSpotter deal. Cubs lost to Oakland 4-3. White Sox fell to the Angels 5-0. And the news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The 2 things that hit every family's budget the hardest are the price of gas and the price of groceries. And for the past few years, we've all been feeling that pain. That's why AM 560 wants to help fill your gas tank and your pantry. It's our gas and groceries giveaway contest. You could win up to $10,000 in gift cards for gas and groceries. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/contest. That's 560theanswer.com/contest.
This is Carol Platt-Liebel for townhall.com. There's now been a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. So he survived more assassination attempts than his opponent has national media interviews. We know what the press would say had, God forbid, Kamala Harris faced assassination twice. When there's violence toward the left, the right's rhetoric is blamed. But when it comes to Donald Trump, leftist politicians and the media take no responsibility for having created what they love to call, quote, a climate of hate, unquote. In fact, the day of the attempt, NBC's Lester Holt appeared to blame it on Trump's own fierce rhetoric, so Trump essentially had it coming. But both assassination attempts have come after multiple journalists and politicians, including Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, have repeatedly called Trump a dictator and a threat to democracy. Democrats' unhinged denunciations of Trump have long been beyond the pale. They need to stop.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne Marie's a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
6:09, a check of the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this look at traffic is the service of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners, which needs election judges for the November 5th presidential election. Earn between $170 and $230 for your service. Go to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and apply. I-65, the exit ramp to 8094, shut down. It's the off-ramp from northbound 65. You're backed up to Ridge Road. Truck carrying a load of wooden pallets spilled out onto the roadway. Cleanup continues. Bishop Ford, report of an accident. 100 inbound between 115th and 103rd. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny and warm today, high 87, clear and 61 overnight, clear and 61 at O'Hare. Fog in Aurora, DuPage Airport, Kankakee, Morris, and Lansing. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Kamala sat before the Black Journalists Association yesterday. She couldn't make an appearance when Trump did before the same association in Chicago because she had a sorority.
She had a sorority. No, a sorority party. Sorority,
yeah. Well,
that's
reunion. She's not still in a sorority.
Well, she acts like she is.
So
she talks like a sorority girl.
So the treatment was slightly different. I think nicely highlighted by a little side by side of the first questions that were asked of Trump and then Kamala in that order. So you'll remember back when Trump made the appearance, and then this edition of Kamala's appearance. First questions.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
A slightly different tone.
Oh, my God.
Slightly different level of hostility there.
Wow, it's a whole new day, huh?
And then Kamala just tabbed Tim Walz to answer the better off you than 4 years ago.
Let's start with inflation. What do you tell people who wake up, frankly, each morning wondering, how am I going to get by financially?
Yeah, I tell them, Kamala Harris and I know something about it. It'd be middle-class folks. Our families sit at the table trying to pay the bill. We know.
Yeah, middle-class kids.
That governor's mansion?
Middle-class kids. What are you going to do about inflation? Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? I grew up a middle-class kid. Kamala grew up a middle-class kid. We're middle-class kids.
And you know what middle-class people care about, Dan? Their lawns. We all like our lawns.
Among other things.
Go mow today.
So the better off than you were 4 years ago zinger wasn't the only tough question that Kamala was asked. She was also asked this profound question.
Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, There are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism.
I watched this whole thing yesterday. I don't know why, but I did fall asleep halfway through. I swear, I thought she was drunk or on something. She was like she was euphoric, just hippy dippy. Didn't it sound like her voice sounds weird? She acted weird too.
She's high on joy.
Oh, that's what that is?
That was a tough question, though. I mean, she did a good job extricating herself from that pit about why joy is important, and those mean Republicans are trying to say you're not serious because you're joyful. That's
some deep stuff right there.
That's
Dan.
journalism.
That's
journalism. She was also asked about
Edward R. Murrow Award.
Secret Service. Does she feel safe? She feel like she's getting the Secret Service that she needs after the second assassination attempt on Trump over the weekend. She's fine. Okay. But not everybody is.
Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I look at Project 2025,
of course you bring
I
that
look
up.
at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the
Don't say
LGBTQ
gay.
community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now.
What? I don't feel safe.
Nobody feels safe except white conservative men.
Yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country.
I mean, she's not ready to be president. She's not ready to be dog catcher in a county. Oh, my God. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us. Did you see the Babylon Bee? Their headline? Kamala safe and in stable condition after attempted interview.
Yeah. I would just love to almost put like an EKG on men and women of the left listening to that interview. When you're asked about Secret Service protection and you bring back tropes about Don't Say Gay laws in Florida and all the people who aren't safe. And, of course, you're not going to be challenged on your particular record when it comes to public safety if you want to go down that route. But we're really talking about the safety of candidates for high office and the constitutional crises that could be precipitated if Secret Service doesn't do its job in protecting its protectees, particularly in the context of an election. But, I digress. Creaky transition from her Secret Service detail to talking about those other things, that doesn't strike you as, I don't know, less than authentic? To crawl inside whatever constitutes the mind of a man or woman of the left listening to those answers. Do you nod your head, say, that's powerful, that makes sense? Or are you just sort of averting your eyes and ears to say, this is who we're going with, this is absurd, this is embarrassing, but it's what we have to go with? I just wonder which one it is. Tony in Downers Grove.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Well, you know what? I listened to the whole thing, too. And she did sound, I don't know, I'm not saying to say she sounded drunk, but she was very leveled. But I think the left will love what she said because she hit on a lot of points. And they asked her a lot of questions. But what they didn't ask her was about, didn't ask her about health care. They didn't ask her any questions on the Green New Deal. But she did. What I was taken back by was the whole part of when they got into how racist Trump and Vance were, and they used the Springfield Ohio as a springboard, obviously, but she really went off on that. And you know, it's towards the end, and I encourage people to listen to it because, you know, she pointed out things from redlining, historic, systemic results of the, you know, slavery. They asked her about reparations. There's a whole piece in there that's to me, we're in for big changes if she gets in office because there's a lot of coding going on there in that interview.
Oh, there's nothing coded about it. I mean, this couldn't be more between your eyes. Thanks for the call, Tony. A lot of changes. You mean we're going to speed the pace we're on now? Yeah, that's what you mean. Oh, she's talking about reparation. She's playing the race identity game. She's running down the laundry list of buzzwords that are supposed to, well, trigger righteous indignation about America's endemic racism, redlining this and Jim Crow that and slavery and general accusations of discrimination and the difference in net worth between Black America and Latino America and white America, and that's evidence of this and that. She is not going to trod any new ground. She's not capable of it. It's also unnecessary. It's not the program. The program is answers like you hear from her and her flacks. For example, a spokeswoman for Kamala Harris, Maka Casado. Kamala Harris will, quote, secure the border but treat people at the border with respect.
Oh, God.
What does that mean?
That means it's just a bunch of gobbledygook.
A deputy comms director, Brooke Gorin, Harris has, talking about border security, Harris had, quote, traveled to over 100 countries. She attends the Munich Security Conference every year. She has, and delivered powerful remarks there. She will keep the border, and this is a quote, she will keep the border safe, but not in a way that would impede those coming into the country.
What does that mean? That's still an invitation to come into our country. That's not a don't come here because we're not going to help you type of comment.
Nonsense in the intellect may reinforce corruption in the mind, in the will. Nonsense in the intellect will reinforce corruption in the mind and the will. That's from Screwtape Letters, going back to that piece from Leo Leibowitz at First Things that I mentioned. That's what this is. The nonsense is reflective of her capacity, but it's also reflective of their strategy. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Hey, how you doing this morning? The reason I was calling, it's just ridiculous, my opinion, how Trump is getting all these hostility questions. Meanwhile, she's getting all these softball questions. They may as well be asking her, what kind of ice cream do you like to eat and where do you vacation? But my question is, the big question is, what is the news media or the fake news getting out of this? Why are they defending her like this? What do you think?
They're trying to get her elected, that's why.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you think? Which part of this is unclear?
Well, they have one goal, and that goal is to keep Trump out of office.
And Leo Leibowitz makes the point, this is particularly important to Republicans. Those are fans of, like, Nikki Haley's conventional advice, for example. Leo Leibowitz, talk to your conservative friends these days, and you're likely to hear a speech that goes something like this. If only Republicans stopped with the nonsense and name-calling and the internet memes and focused on the issues, they'd win the election. Leibowitz, does that sound familiar? Leibowitz responds, it's a noble and high-minded sentiment, but it's also, alas, dead wrong. In the Screwtape election, debate is futile because the other side offers no arguments. It traffics in temptations designed to elude the reasoning mind and indulge instead the other hungrier faculties, the heart and its susceptibility to comforting fantasies, and the spleen's delight in anger and hatred. That's a great paragraph, by the way. Against this assault, scorn, which is at the advice of C.S. Lewis in Screwtape Letters, the devil cannot bear scorn. Against this assault, scorn works wonders, because lighthearted dismissal is the one thing that devils can't bear. So we need to make arguments to appeal to the reasonable sense of reason. a reasonable people's sense of reason. But we also need to be unabashed in our use of scorn, ridicule, because you're not dealing with people that are making arguments. You're dealing with people that are preying on people's susceptibility to comforting fantasies and delight in anger and hatred. If only we talk about the issues. Trump should stop with the name calling. Wrong. Wrong. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Always good talking to you. I watched the interview. 2 questions. What questions didn't she answer? She didn't give a definitive answer on the abortion issue in the last trimester. And then did the interviewers ever fact check her?
Yeah, right.
Like the 60 million jobs created.
But talk about indulging fantasies. Bob, what were your expectations for that? What were your expectations for that confab with Kamala and communications professionals in her service? What were your expectations?
Oh, I knew there weren't any.
Exactly. Thank you. So, the why didn't she answer? Forget it. I mean, you're talking into an abyss. Len in Highland Park.
Morning, guys. Kamala was talking about fear. Okay. She kind of struck a nerve with me because, it does make sense, for me being a normal, everyday guy. I fear putting a Trump sign on my lawn in Highland Park. I fear putting a Trump sticker on my car in Highland Park. She is just, no one gives a crap about race, okay? We all live our lives. It's something I haven't thought about since 1965. I just don't understand. And for the 20,000 Haitians, come to Highland Park. I would love that.
Thanks for the call, Len.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Dan Proft here for Low T Center. If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test. And with our on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is where I go and have the past several years to get tested. It's not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life.
Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I don't like onions. I'm doing paleo. Do they have gluten-free bagels? You can't juggle every food request for a work event, or can you? EasyCater is the all-in-one tech platform that makes it easy to get restaurant catering for work, with options for any group size, taste, dietary preference, or budget. EasyCater saves your favorite restaurants and orders, which makes reordering a snap. Need to modify an order? No problem. So when it comes to food for work, make it easy on yourself with EasyCater. Start your order at easycater.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your social security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, Tom from Charleroi, Pennsylvania, frames what's actually going on in communities like Charleroi and Springfield and Whitewater and Aurora, Colorado, and so many others. Tom from Charleroi at 6:36.
And later, oops, where did my onions go? We'll explain, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:31, hundreds of handheld pagers exploding simultaneously. Parts of Lebanon and Syria, killing at least 12. That's what it sounded like in one of many stores that were hit by the exploding pagers, many of them held by members of the terror group Hezbollah. Officials in Lebanon say, all told, 2,700 were wounded, 200 critically. Former President Trump says his second apparent assassination attempt shows that his presidency was consequential. Trump took part in a town hall near Detroit, moderated by Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Day one, we're doing two things: closing the border and baby drill. Two things. We're going to get down the prices.
Trump saying it's a dangerous business running for president. Federal prosecutors are claiming Sean Combs has been abusing and exploiting women since at least 2008. The hip-hop mogul appeared in a New York court Tuesday after being arrested on counts of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
We're appealing the decision to hold him without bail.
Combs had offered to post $50 million bond and to wear a GPS monitor. Ohio police are trying to figure out how an 8-year-old girl drove her mother's car 10 miles to a local Target store. Police in Bedford caught up with the vehicle and girl in the parking lot of a Target. That 8-year-old girl had been reported missing earlier in the morning. Jury deliberations are underway in the trial of former AT&T Illinois president accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan. The jury deliberated for about an hour and a half yesterday without reaching a verdict. Jesse Smollett is asking the Illinois Supreme Court to overturn his disorderly conduct conviction. State's High Court heard arguments yesterday. Smollett was convicted in December 2021 for lying to police about being the victim of a wholly fabricated 2019 racist and homophobic attack in the city of Chicago. A woman found dead in an Illinois cornfield in 1991 has been identified as a Chicago area woman more than a decade after authorities began re-examining the cold case of Paula Ann Lundgren. LaSalle County officials say Lundgren lived primarily in the Chicagoland area and would have been 29 when a farmer found her body in September of 1991. Cubs left 9 runners stranded in a 4-3 loss to the A's at Wrigley Field. Ian Happ with 2 home runs in that losing effort. White Sox lost to the Angels 5-0. The news a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
It's Jeep Adventure Days, and Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on 159th Street in Tinley Park has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry into Bettenhausen and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Grand Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler, or Jeep Gladiator. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 vehicles with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo. now.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
6:38, a check of the roads, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this look at travel times, the service of the Byrna Less Lethal Launcher. Just like your spare tire, the Byrna Less Lethal Launcher is a must-have for protection and peace of mind when you're on the road. Never feel unprotected again. Byrna is legal in all 50 states. No background checks or permits required. Shipped right to your door. Visit Byrna.com, BYRNA.com. The Kennedy, already an hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Will County, exit ramp shut down due to ongoing road work, causing delays this morning. That's the northbound off-ramp to eastbound I-80. Dan Ryan express lanes jammed up 35th into the Stevenson, and a disabled vehicle on the outbound Dan Ryan, a left lane blocked. Again, that's outbound at 75th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and very warm, high 87, clear and 61 overnight. Fog in the area, especially in places like Aurora and Kankakee. 51 there, 61 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
You have it memorized.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Ridicule, as I was saying. That's right between the eyes of Lester Holt and Dana Bash and Kamala Harris and everybody else doing their performative. That's been debunked. That's been debunked. So they don't have to deal with the substantive underlying issues. And by the way, it's not been debunked. It's been a point of disagreement. Here's a Springfield resident speaking at a commission meeting, city council meeting, in March of this year. And he has, as you'll hear, an exchange with the city manager that's invoked by the D.C. press corps. The city manager says it's not happening.
We called him today.
Laws and culture is 180 degrees different of what they're used to. And one of the things that I heard that bothered me very much, and I've actually had quite a few people contact me here lately, is some pretty horrid things occurring to domesticated animal in the neighborhood. We've had some stuff in the park that, again, they're being taken advantage of for reasons other than, and if you shake your head, Brian. But
No. I asked me if there was proof. There is no
don't have
proof of it.
I
We've heard the
have,
same
and
thing.
people that have confided in me have asked me for anonymity. I can't give their names up.
I mean, we haven't seen the proof that you're telling me, and I've heard about it too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
You've heard about it.
It's a
Okay.
point of contention. That's not a debunking. Okay, yeah, the manager hasn't seen the proof, but of course this is a secondary issue. But it's an interesting proxy to use this issue because it generates attention, and you have all these people running around. This is our opportunity to debunk the whole issue as an issue by just focusing on this narrow disagreement about some reports that it's happening and other people saying they haven't seen the evidence. But what's really going on? What's really going on in terms of quality of life for the residents of these communities and neighborhoods in big city Chicago, as big cities like Chicago, as we heard from that 80-year-old woman on the south side yesterday. The schools in Charleroi, Pennsylvania, a town of 4,000, that's seen a influx of some 2,000 Haitian migrants
Can you imagine?
in the last couple of years. Again, this is just an ordinary couple in Charleroi being interviewed by a guy from a site called America 2100 about what's going on in the schools.
I think they are trying to get even interpreters to teach the kids, let alone get to this part.
Yeah, they're having a huge problem, I think.
It's kind of ridiculous.
With trying to teach. There were 45 Haitians that started kindergarten this year.
Whoa.
45.
How big is kindergarten overall?
A kindergarten class is probably no more than 60 at most. At most.
Yeah, like one classroom is probably like
30,
20 kids, I'm
20,
thinking.
20,
Maybe
30.
25.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
don't know.
So
Yeah.
like the majority of the kindergarten is Haitian now.
Yeah.
In what, 2 years or something like that? Like
Yeah.
that's when it started
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't speak English?
Well, actually, I think the younger kids speak more English than the older kids.
Okay. We're talking to a guy
Yeah.
tomorrow who he had to pull his 7th grader out of school because they just didn't have
Yeah,
the resources. He was like,
I've heard stories like that.
Yeah.
One of the things, like I said, about the not speaking English, like middle school grades, where parents are having a problem because their kids can't advance because the teachers are having to compensate for the kids who can't speak English.
Right.
Does that sound like hate mongering? Does that sound like othering? Or does that sound like people trying to figure it out with this development that has been inflicted upon them? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
And even to bring it up, because they're Haitians and they're dark, I mean, it's racist. And you shouldn't use the terms illegals. I mean, come on.
So this is where...
They could be from anywhere, but the problem is there's cultural differences, and it's affecting the American way of life in small-town America.
And big city America, for that matter. The point is, as I said before, you make reasoned arguments to the reasonable, and you ridicule the witch hunters, the hysterics, the mindless drones of the left, who all they can do is utter one of the pejoratives, one of the isms or phobias in lieu of critical thought, in lieu of a cogent sentence even on culture. So compare that, compare the witch hunters. You see them all over social media. You see them at these rallies. You see them at the protest du jour. You see them in elective office all over big cities. Compare what they're saying and the quality of their thinking on this topic to, say, a regular dude named Tom who lives in Charleroi, Pennsylvania, talking about culture and impact. And again, ask you, is this guy trafficking in hate?
They don't have anything in common with our culture. Culture, when people say the culture, a lot of times they say it, they don't know what it means. What culture means is the way we do things around here, worldwide. That's what culture is. Culture means this is how we do things around here, for better or worse. And what I've seen in the last 5 years since the influx has started is they have no interest in our culture, this culture. They've brought their culture here. If you go look at the main drag of town here, you'll see, they have their groceries, and they have their storefronts, and, the message is fairly clear, and that is, this is for us. Okay. Message received. People understand. So what I don't believe that argument of they had to bring that population here to save Charleroi has any validity. We aren't prepared for it. We don't have the tax base for it. This is a town of 4,000 people hanging on the best they can. So whoever is responsible for putting them here, that is an act of negligence. And if it's when it's found out who directly decided that this was a good place to do this, they should be held accountable fully. Their feet should be held to the fire long term. They should never be allowed to work in the industry again, whether it's politics or business, because what they've done here is despicable. And they don't know that because, again, nobody cares about Charleroi, Pennsylvania. The 4,000 people that lived here care about it, and we're doing their level best to make it a place to live and want to be. I'm putting my house on the market next week. I've pulled my kid out of the school. My kid plays baseball on that field right there. He has a game there Thursday night. Come down and watch if you're here. He's a good third baseman. So it's for somebody who is born and raised in this valley and understands it from stem to stern. When I moved here in 2017, if you told me after all of the other garbage that has been heaped on this community since the early 80s, that this would be the denouement, I would have mortgaged my house and bet you were wrong. But here we are.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Very thoughtful. His comment, but he has to move.
He doesn't have it exactly right, though. They don't know what's going on in Charleroi. This is negligence. No. It's much worse than that. Do you think the people are making these decisions give a rat's ass about what Chris Arnade calls back row America? Towns like Springfield, Ohio, or Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Do you think they care?
No.
They don't care. To turn your town into a refugee camp, it's fine with them. They've addressed their desire, which is to open the borders and flood this country with people that many of whom will become dependents of the state and thus loyal voters once they figure out this pathway to citizenship. I mean, there's just no logical explanation that doesn't include that agenda. There just isn't. No logical explanation for the policy choices that doesn't include that. Maintain the power of, in terms of the electoral votes of particular states that are losing population, including in the Rust Belt. Traditionally, Democrat strongholds, not so much Ohio anymore, but certainly Pennsylvania. That's the key state, isn't it? That's what they care about. And so it's purposeful. It's a purposeful attack on back row America.
Got a text message. John from Wakanda writes, Dan and Amy, the migrants need to be sent to Evanston and their children enrolled in the Evanston-Skokie District 65 schools.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the distribution to places that have the no one can be illegal signs all over the place, the wealthy, honky enclaves. I'm all for it. I guess we need to see more of it. That's certainly one tactic. Stephen and Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. I think what they're trying to do is get the electorate to a point where they're so frustrated that that the rubber band will snap and somebody will do something to them, and then they'll claim that is how America is, and they need the Democrats to save everything.
Well, thanks for the call. Perhaps, I mean, it's also just, again, going back to Leah Leibowitz's Screw Tape election column. It's an appeal to the heart and its susceptibility to confronting, it's appeal to the heart and its susceptibility to comforting fantasies and the spleen's delight in anger and hatred. Accomplishes both. The fantasy of give the world a Coke and a smile.
Oh, yeah.
Hands across America. Just let everybody in on their own terms, wherever they want, whenever they want, and here is all of the underwriting from taxpayers for you. And we'll figure out a way to make you street legal, too, by the way. fantasies. They're all here to build a better life for themselves. Some are, and some are not. And the compassion that we're supposed to have for people fleeing persecution in Haiti, we do have. This is why Americans provide so much in terms of charitable dollars to support organizations that help people in Haiti and other poor countries in the Western Hemisphere, and really throughout the world. America is the leading philanthropic country in the world, and that's not going to change. And that's oftentimes some of the best organizations driven by conservative donors. We know them because we work with one, Food for the Poor, as I mentioned yesterday. So it's not a question of lacking compassion for people in dire straits in other countries. It's a real-world recognition that 8 billion people can't live in America, particularly without and come in without any scrutiny or any plan. That doesn't work.
But that's what's going on. They're just sitting here. There's no plan.
It's also
sitting at street corners, sitting outside the shelters.
It's also problematic and telling when there is no similar compassion from those open borders proponents, no even recognition of the consequences. You got to break some eggs kind of consequences of people being murdered or violated in other ways every single day. 200, this is LA, 200 illegal aliens charged with conspiracy, kidnapping, and interstate communication containing a demand for ransom. They are conspiring to kidnap a Guatemalan man who had illegally entered the United States and then demanded ransoms from the victim's family. So Hondurans conspiring to kidnap a Guatemalan. Everybody's here illegally. So who's the racist in that one? Nantucket, Massachusetts, 28-year-old Salvadorian national unlawfully present in the country, charged with numerous sex crimes against a child. One count of rape of a child with a 10-year age difference, 2 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child 14 years old. 16-year-old Rwandan migrant in Indiana threatened to gun down 1,000 students at a high school in which he was enrolled and a police officer. He was sentenced to probation.
Of course.
Honduran illegal immigrant charged in DUI crash that killed Arkansas children's respiratory therapist. So when do I start to hear the concern and the compassion for people that are being victimized by people who have no business being in this country? Then I'll indulge a lecture about my level of empathy or compassion for all those who want to come to America. Harry in Holly, Michigan.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Just 2 points. The first being, why is it that when Kamala brought up the fact that 18 months or so ago, we brought in 55,000 Haitians under whatever that temporary protection request, whatever.
Temporary protective status, yeah.
Right, and then they decided things must have been going so well they doubled up on that, and that's just adding. None of this was in the news. No one else except the communities that found themselves with people coming in knew about it. So again, there you go with the media and the cover-up. And boy, I just lost the other train that I had there. But here we have Hillary Clinton coming out with her new book, making, of course, millions of dollars more to criticize and preach to us. I think we need a forensic audit of the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, well,
and what money actually went to Haiti that we're now paying for again.
Well, thanks for the call, Harry. Not to mention how the Clinton Foundation ostensibly raped and pillaged Haiti.
Right.
That's the real question about the Clinton Foundation's exploits in Haiti. They behaved, perhaps, it's a little unclear because, of course, the lack of investigation, the lack of disclosure, the lack of transparency, the lack of answering questions. But it sure smacks of the sort of Haitian dictator approach to the people of Haiti. I'm talking about at the hands of Bill and Hillary.
Right. They saw a country they thought they could conquer.
Yeah.
And people they could control, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, remember
they went on their honeymoon there.
Remember Bill Clinton, the first black president.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's not conquer. It's pillage and move on. Line their pockets at the Haitian people's expense. Maurice Berwin.
Hey, Dan, just real quick. First of all, I do believe in immigration, but surely you recognize that some of these people are probably employed by some company and just getting paid like off the bucks. And to really have some form of immigration policy, you're going to start penalizing these companies that employ these dudes.
Yeah, okay.
You have tons of, I mean, you have to. Just shipping them back, which can be part of the solution, but you have tons of people who are getting paid cash on the table. When do we start penalizing people who employ undocumented workers? Well, why can that be part of the solution?
Well, I think it is part of the solution. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Well, I'm sure there's some.
But that's never happened.
No, well, I'm sure the U.S. Chamber of Commerce disagrees with that. But I mean, the thanks for the call, Maurice. I mean, the idea of having federal InstaCheck systems in place. I'm blanking on the name of that was bandied about for many years, but that's absolutely been part of the plan for border security is to hold employers accountable once there's a system in place that allows easy checking, background checking for knowingly employing people in this country legally. Absolutely. By the way, just in Springfield, Ohio, there's a story out, too, that the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, one of the people that's being used, the mayor's debunked this, that he owns property that he is renting out to Haitian immigrants. So is he a little bit conflicted?
Yeah. And what they were doing, well, we're up against the clock here. Sunshine, warm again today at 7 a.m. WIND.
It's up to 12 deaths in Lebanon. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. From all those exploding pagers, 2 of the deaths were children, about 3,000 injured.
The pagers beeped before they went off. As a result, a lot of the injuries are to the hands and fingers of the people who reach for their pagers. Injuries are to the eyes and faces of people who looked at their pagers. And, of course, there are injuries to the waist and pocket area where most people would carry their pagers.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv, where Israel is not commenting, but Hezbollah is vowing revenge.
At some point, the pagers were sabotaged and explosive charges as well as switches were installed on each device. The pagers were a Taiwanese brand, Gold Apollo, but the chairman of that company says they licensed the name to a company out of Europe called BAC, who he says made the pagers.
Meanwhile, as the war rages in Gaza, the UN plans a vote today on a Palestinian resolution demanding that Israel leave. Former President Trump held his first event since the second assassination attempt at Town Hall in Flint, Michigan, where he said running for president is a dangerous job, but added he has to keep going or we won't have a country left. He told Fox's Hannity,
"We need more people here for security." And we never seem to get that, and I think we are getting it now.
Now, that talk of more protection is before a Trump rally tonight on New York's Long Island. House Speaker Mike Johnson just told Fox.
I had that conversation with the White House yesterday. I called and demanded that President Trump receive the same level of protection that the sitting president does because he is under such great threat.
Today, the House will vote on a plan to fund the government for 6 months with a controversial attachment
to make sure that illegals cannot vote, non-citizens cannot vote in the upcoming election.
Well, Democrats oppose that. Some Republicans oppose the size of the funding. If none of that's approved, there will be a partial government shutdown in October. An interest rate cut is expected today, the first one since all the rate hikes to bring inflation down. Some analysts expect the Federal Reserve to cut 0.25%. Others think it'll be a 0.5 point. America's listening to Fox News.
.61 degrees, sunshine, but heavy fog in the area. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Jesse Smollett asking the Illinois Supreme Court to overturn his disorderly conduct conviction. AM 560's Kevin Bessler was in the courtroom and has this report.
Also reporting on his crime against him. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office made him a deal, leading to this exchange between one justice and attorney Nenny Yush.
It's like we've got a lot of factual questions.
Yes, Justice.
What is the ultimate relief you're asking for?
Justice, I'm asking for a reversal.
Sean Weber, Special Assistant Attorney General, told the court that there is no record of a non-prosecution deal between Smollett and prosecutors.
We had a baker's dozens of lawyers through this process. He was well counseled. He got the relief that is on the record, that his lawyer stood up and said, quote, I absolutely agree with.
Smollett was found guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct of setting up the bogus attack. The Supreme Court has not given a timetable on a possible decision. I'm Kevin Bessler.
A third arrest has been made connected to recent social media threats directed at schools in Joliet. Police arresting a 12-year-old for felony disorderly conduct. The child is believed to be a student at Dirksen Junior High School. Tinley Park police will be patrolling Grissom Middle School for the rest of this week after a threat was made against that school. The ongoing debate over whether to keep ShotSpotter, the technology used by police to alert them when gunfire is heard, will come to a vote at the Chicago City Council today. Mayor Brandon Johnson continues to double down on his criticism of the program.
I would just hope that the alders recognize that, we cannot mimic the behavior of the federal government where rules are just being broken because you have the interests of corporations who are trying to sell a product that we've spent almost $100 million on, and they promised that it would reduce violence, and it did not do that.
Several fact checks of the mayor's comments show that the city has spent far less than $100 million. And aldermen backing the tech, like Ray Lopez, say they'll call for a special city council meeting today to override calls by Johnson that the buck stops with him on renewing a deal with ShotSpotter. A recent increase in jury duty scams targeting residents in Kane County has prompted a warning from authorities. On Tuesday, Kane County sheriffs say they never contact citizens over the phone to threaten them with arrest for missing jury duty when citizens have never been contacted through the court system. Cubs lost to Oakland 4-3. White Sox blanked by the Angels 5-0. The news a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
Conveyors keep your products moving, but when they break down, it can cost your company time and money. If you need help with conveyors, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with conveyors and their related parts. At Vans, we install and maintain all types of conveyors, including screw conveyors, belt conveyors, drag conveyors, and bucket elevators. And if you need related conveyor chutes, drives, guards, or dust collection, we can design and install all of these components for your conveyor system.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your conveyor inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
7:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the travel times is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. I-65 this morning, a mess. We'll start on the southbound side in northwest Indiana near 205th Avenue. You've got an accident with 2 lanes blocked. I-65 northbound, the off-ramp to 8094 westbound, completely blocked. You're backed up to Ridge Road. A truck carrying wooden pallets spilled all over the roadway. They are still in cleanup stage. Route 390 to Page County, the toll road eastbound at Lake Street. Report of an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, a very warm day. Our high today reaching 86. It'll be clear tonight, low 61. And then sunny tomorrow, the high near 89. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night, low 68. Partly sunny, warm day Friday, the high at 87. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
61 and clear at O'Hare. Fog in Aurora, Kankakee, and in Morris this morning. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Walter Russell Mead, writing in the Journal, the U.S. shrugs as World War III approaches. The news from abroad is chilling. Amazon Post columnist David Ignatius reports from Kyiv that Ukraine is bleeding out as its weary soldiers struggle against an numerically superior Russia. The New York Times reports that China is expanding the geographical reach and escalating violence in its campaign to drive Philippine forces from islands and shoals that Beijing illegitimately claims. And Bloomberg reports that Washington officials are fearful that Russia will help Iran cross the finish line in its race for nuclear weapons. Our partner in peace, Iran? Imagine. These stories, Mead continues, all from liberal news outlets generally favorable to the Biden administration, tell a tragic and terrifying tale of global failure on the part of the U.S. and its allies. China, Russia, and Iran are stepping up their attacks on what remains of the Pax Americana and continue to make gains at the expense of Washington and its allies around the world. Well, I'll see those aggressive acts of China, Russia, and Iran, and I'll raise you a fully gender-integrated submarine the U.S. Navy recently unveiled.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What color is it? The rainbow?
The USS New Jersey was commissioned Saturday at a ceremony at Naval Weapons Station Earl in Middletown, New Jersey. And, first gender-integrated. So men and women in close quarters in a submarine. Yeah. How about that?
In the Navy.
Adjustments have been made to increase privacy in washrooms and sleeping areas and to improve access to top bunks and overhead valves. They lowered the infrastructure of the ship because women tend to be shorter and put steps up for top bunks because they tend to have a harder time lifting themselves up.
Oh, my.
So, the American military is answering the call.
Our enemies are watching.
So are the Canadians. The Canadian military is alternating between an investigation into a tampon dispenser in a men's washroom that was destroyed, because that's a hate crime, And a report they conducted in preparation for the first manned moon mission in 50 years, I should say. A report the Canadian military did, discussing some of the concerns about this prospective manned moon mission. For example, existing approaches are ahistorical and thus invisibilize diverse stakeholders and voices, including the role of women and representatives from the global south in shaping contemporary space law and governance. Also, there is concern about the ignoring of the role of power and inequality in structuring space activities and infrastructure, both past and present. The existing approaches to space exploration are also gender biased. The language of major treaties, resolutions, and other international instruments related to outer space is highly gendered and biased toward males. Terms like mankind, astronauts, and envoys of mankind, man's entry in outer space, manned and unmanned stations, and so on and so forth. These are things that must be navigated before we can green light that manned moon mission in Canada, so says its military. So the Canadian military and the United States military are on the you better look out. Mullahs in Tehran, Putin in Moscow, Xi in Beijing. I hope you're reading these stories. For more on the state of Western civilization, such as it is, pleased to be joined by Roger Kimball, the editor of the New Criterion. Roger, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to chat.
So,
Josh, you had quite a litany of insanity there.
Insanity.
It's
insanity.
reality.
Insanity, you say. The hell you say. Yeah. So, I mean, Roger, you're a man of letters, and you think about these geopolitical dynamics. So, how do you think we're doing?
We're not doing very well. You know, it's curious that you began with the gender neutral submarine. I happened to be speaking last night with John Lehman, who was the former Secretary of the Navy back when the U.S. Navy was devoted to protecting the United States and projecting power. And
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
It was a long time. It wasn't that long ago, but it seems like another age, doesn't it? Well, I mean, he was going on about this, and it's a very good thing that the United States is as rich and well protected as it is, because I recall that little poem by Hilaire Belloc about the barbarians, and how they're on the outskirts of the city looking in, and everybody thinks they're so amusing, but you look at their faces and you see that they are not laughing. Believe me, the Chinese aren't laughing. Vladimir Putin is not laughing. The mullahs in Iran, who are, as I think you just said this, they're possibly weeks or at most months away from acquiring a nuclear weapon. They're not laughing. Why people think that when the mullahs say "death to America," they don't mean "death to America" is a great puzzle. I really don't understand it. But that was, as I said, a kind of depressing but wholly accurate litany of insanity. It is our reality. It is a reality, but it certainly was insane that you treated your listeners to.
Maybe we can enlist the aid, or I don't know, contract out some of our national security concerns to Mossad, because.
Yes, I love that. I know. Yeah. I want to go into the pager business. We need more pagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, message and data rates may apply. And we know too. I mean, just in terms of precision of this hack and this this response, 8 of the 9 people that were taken out by ostensibly Mossad with that pager attack were in fact identified Hezbollah leaders.
Yes, yeah, that's what I've read that as well. No, they're very clever. I believe that they've never taken credit for it, as far as I know. But
no,
I believe they were behind the so-called Stuxnet. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Stuxnet virus
Right.
several years ago,
right?
Which crippled the Iranian centrifuges that they were using to refine their fissible material.
Well,
so yes, we're living in a very strange time. Here we have another operative attempting to kill Donald Trump on his golf course just a few days ago, and people seem surprised. But why would you be surprised when the drumbeat of the media and other politicians, Democratic politicians, has just and erstwhile Republicans as well, has been accelerating and in both in its rapidity and its volume, telling us, warning us that Donald Trump is a dictator in waiting, that he is literally Hitler, that he is going to erase our freedoms and put people in camps. This is, you can see this day in and day out. So why is it surprising that people should be fired up by this and go out and try to assassinate him?
Well, when people say that, it's like he was president for 4 years already. He didn't put anybody in camps. Okay.
Exactly. You follow me like a leopard, Amy, as P.G. Woodhouse would say. I mean, we know what he's like as president. We know that he restored the country's economy. He made us energy independent. We had a border. Incredible foreign policy initiatives like the Abraham Accords. It was a very successful term. We know what he's like, and the incredibly irresponsible, dangerous, anti-American rhetoric of the other side is, I mean, it's really mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I guess part of this too. Just thinking about the what the Israelis ostensibly did to those Hezbollah.
Brilliant.
The managing the vice presidents of the Hezbollah terrorist group, essentially.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with Pierre Rihov, who's a French-Israeli documentarian, the other week. You're just asking him what he thought in terms of the resolve here, the resolve of Israel to eradicate Hamas, to complete the mission, the resolve of Israel to defenestrate the Iranians as needed, and versus the resolve in the West to support Israel in its efforts to combat Islamofascism. And, his answer was, I have no doubt about Israel's resolve, but I have a lot of doubt about the West's resolve. And that's sort of...
I mean, that's good. He's right to have doubts about that.
Right. So, I mean, part of it is, it seems to me, and this is in part, the fault of conservatives too, we haven't made the compelling case about the threat level to America from these malevolent actors like Russia, China, and Iran.
Yes. Yeah. No. I think that's absolutely right. It's I think one key to this is there are probably two things. One is ever since ancient times, moralists have warned about the dangerous effects of luxury, and we are although there are certainly a lot of problems with our economy. The debt being a big one, we still are an incredibly prosperous, pampered society. And that, I think, has, to some extent, helped fuel some of the mind-boggling things that you were reciting at the beginning, the tampon things in boys' bathrooms and stuff like that. But it's not only is it prosperity that's the problem. It is also how to put this. It's not Democrats. It's not Republicans. It's the swamp. It's the administrative state. We have given over our polity. They like to use the phrase our democracy to this huge network of faceless bureaucrats. Congress does not legislate for this country anymore. It's the deep state, the administrative state, that does this. And that regime party, which is neither Democrat nor Republican, they are in charge. If you just look what happened with the defenestration of Joe Biden in July and the instant coronation of Kamala Harris. How did that happen? I mean, Joe Biden he won the primary. He got all the votes. She wasn't running, but somehow she was installed and was transformed almost overnight from one of the most unpopular politicians in the United States to the reincarnation of Winston Churchill. It's really quite extraordinary. But Vivek Ramaswamy, I think, put his finger on an important aspect of this development. He said, we're not running against a candidate. We're running against a system, what I call the committee. And the committee's interests are in keeping the endless wars going. They're happy to make deals with all of these people who wish us ill, who say death to America.
Yeah, well, part of the committee, though, is the mainstream media. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
They made her be the it girl.
I think the mainstream media is the what I call the propaganda press. They are doing the bidding. They're wielding the microphones for who knows who's on the committee. It's hard to say who's in and who's out, but they are the they're wielding the troops with the megaphones, but they take their orders, I think, from the committee and whoever's on it. And it's marvelous to behold, but very dangerous. And I think that we need to figure out a way of depreciating the role of Washington, of the regime party in the metabolism of our politics. Because if we don't, we will eventually become slaves to it. And that process is very far advanced.
Well, we have, less than 2 months before the election, so we know what they're doing and why they're doing it. So what should Trump be doing in response, and how well is he doing it?
Well, I am very impressed with the quality of his campaign this time. I mean, it's much better than it was in 2020, and much better, even more than it was in 2016. He's got great team. I think the endorsements of people like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard has been important, and people like serious people like Elon Musk. That's all to the good. But you've noticed that he's been practically shut out of the conversation in the mainstream media. The question is, what do the voters hear? Trump crosses the country, these rallies. RFK Jr. is doing that. I think he is going to win, but he needs to win, as he himself put it. He has to win by a margin that is too big to rig, because we already are seeing all kinds of machinations with voting machines and the ballot drop boxes and early voting ballots going astray and so on. So it's going to be we need to be constantly vigilant. But I think we are. So I think he's going to win. And I just as an aside, I have to say I don't trust the polls now. I think they're mostly fabricated. But I predict that as the weeks pass, we get into October, we're going to see because the pollsters will want to be accurate at the very end of the day, and I think we'll see Trump break away and finally prevail on November 5th. Although whether we get a decision on November 5th and 6th is a moot question.
Roger Kimball, he is the editor of The New Criterion. Roger, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Great. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, it's Fed rate cutting day. 3 cheers for Jay Powell, our hero, right? We'll put that question to Chris Whalen at 7:37.
Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Israel reportedly responsible for the hundreds of pagers that blew up simultaneously across Lebanon on Tuesday.
Around 4 p.m. Beirut time, 9 a.m. Eastern, we started getting reports of very large numbers of Hezbollah militants, all wounded, all simultaneously in southern Beirut, in southern Lebanon, and really all across the country.
The New York Times and several other media sources cites American and other officials saying Israel targeted members of the Hezbollah terrorist group. Former President Trump taking part in a town hall moderated by Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Sanders in his first public rally since a second assassination attempt on his life.
It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%.
Vice President Kamala Harris, according to a new poll, is hanging on to a 2-point lead ahead of the former president. The FBI and U.S. Postal Service investigating mail containing a white powder sent to Secretary of State and election offices in at least 17 states. None of the packages are believed to be hazardous. In one instance, the substance ended up being flour. The opening bell rings on Wall Street this morning after stocks closed mixed and investors awaiting word on the Fed's decision on interest rates later today. Jury deliberations continuing today in the trial of former AT&T Illinois president, that man accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan. Following closing arguments yesterday, the jury deliberated for about an hour without reaching a verdict. The state's gun ban was debated before a federal judge in East St. Louis yesterday. Will County authorities are working to identify remains of a 1968 cold case homicide. Remains discovered in September of 1968. Remains were exhumed last Friday, and a portion sent to a forensic genetic genealogy company in Texas. 2 students have been expelled from a Northwest Indiana high school, Prairie Heights, after making violent threats. The 2 teens made separate and unrelated threats, one of them in comments to classmates, the other on social media. And the ongoing debate over whether to keep ShotSpotter, that technology used by Chicago police to alert them when gunfire is heard, will come to a vote at the Chicago City Council a little later on today. Chicago sports. Cubs lost to the A's 4-3 in spite of 2 Ian Happ home runs. White Sox had 6 hits in a 5-0 loss to the Angels. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and White, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and White with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy, 83 minutes. Tough sledding from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, 90 minutes. 390 into the old post office. You're on the brakes. Mannheim all the way to Sacramento. Stop and go on the Stevenson inbound between I-355 and Cass Avenue. Dan Ryan, you're stop and slow inbound between Garfield and 18th. 51 heavy minutes from 95th into the Burns Circle. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and warm, high 87. Clear and 61 overnight. Calm winds, clear, and 61. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Here's a number that speaks to the cultural rot in America. Scott Rasmussen did a survey about the second failed Trump assassination attempt on Sunday. 28% of Democrats think America would be better off if Trump had been assassinated.
28%?
More than 1 in 4 Democrats think America would be better off if Trump had been assassinated. And interestingly, a majority believe the anti-Trump rhetoric to be the proximate cause of the attempts on President Trump's life. It's really interesting. So
they must have been really disappointed when it failed the second time.
Well, this is, I guess, your pool of cheerleaders for assassination, if not next man up.
Actually, I shouldn't be surprised. And I thought it would be more like 40%.
So it's interesting because I have the exact opposite response if I were asked, would the country be better off if Kamala Harris was assassinated or Joe Biden was assassinated? No. Absolutely not. I am when it comes to politicians, I am in the position of Leonidas. Did you ever see the movie 300?
I actually saw that movie.
Uh-huh. So when Ephialtes betrays Leonidas to Xerxes and the Persians, and Leonidas says to Ephialtes, may you live forever. Live forever with what you've done. Live forever knowing that you're a traitor, that you're a quisling. Live forever and have to defend who you are and what you've done. That's so much better. So much better. But, I mean, this is sort of a commentary on how shrill and venal a significant percentage of Americans are, which I suppose is why somebody who is so comically unqualified to run anything of importance, much less be the chief executive of the greatest country the world has ever seen, is in the hunt. Oh, and the other thing, too, that speaks to this cultural rot is this sort of celebration of central planners. You know, our heroes today are people, are regulators. You know, certainly on the left, the heroes are the government functionaries. Jay Powell should wear a cape to the Fed confab today where he announces the rate cut so we can all cheer.
Yay.
Jay Powell
He saved them.
Soft landing, and he saved America, and he reduced the inflation that he instigated with a decade of quantitative easing and the associated devaluation of the dollar. But now here he has come, and rate cuts and happy times are here again, and the 401ks of the managerial class are safe for another quarter or two. It's also depressing. Sorry to depress. I know joy is the vibe of this election season, but anyway, for more on all of this and perhaps some other topics as well, pleased to be joined by Chris Whalen, investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Ford Men from Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
3 cheers for Jay Powell.
Yeah. No, he's failed.
For
twice.
he's a jolly good. Come on, sing. For he's a jolly good fella.
No, it's more serious than that. I like the cape idea though.
Yeah.
Because that fits the mindset of the people at the Fed. You know, for the past century, really, the Fed has been facilitating our democracy in terms of finance. Most people don't know this, but in 1953, the Treasury market collapsed after World War II. And Mariner Eccles, Tom McCabe, and eventually William and Jesse Martin created the market for Treasury bonds with non-bank dealers. And for a long time, it functioned. But in 2008, we annihilated all of them. They're gone, or they were bought by banks. You know, WAMU, Countrywide, Bear Stearns, Lehman, all of those guys used to sell a lot of bonds, and they're gone. So today we're back to a bank market, which is where we were in the Civil War, by the way. And Powell is 10 minutes away from really screwing things up. And I think he's going to do it. You know, in 2018, the end of the year, we almost crashed and burned. And then we had 2020, same thing. So, you know, this crew is clueless. They really are. You could say the same thing about Jay Powell that you just said about Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
Wow. Yeah, that's well. I mean,
understand the mechanics, the dance they go through at the Board of Governors, the macroeconomic yah-yah, and the meetings and the models don't approximate the reality of keeping this train on the tracks. That's the difference.
And so, if rather than debating a quarter point or half point rate cut, we should be debating what?
We should leave things where they are. If you think of the rate increases over the past couple of years, we were getting back to quote-unquote normal. Whether or not the real Fed funds rate is positive or negative, I think is immaterial. In fact, Adam Posen was out on the wire today in an interview with Kathleen Hayes, which is wonderful. And he said that. You know, Adam's a very educated economist, and he understands that we really haven't tightened. Home prices haven't gone down. So what we're doing is we're institutionalizing inflation. And if we get back to that 2% target that they keep talking about, 2% inflation equals zero now, then
the middle class, the 401ks and the IRAs are going to see half of the value taken away from them over the next 2 decades. If you told Americans that, how do you think they would vote?
Well, the question is, would they believe it? I mean, we have, unfortunately, we're in the position, too, where I only believe there's a crisis when it's knocking on my front door.
That's right. Exactly.
You can't see 6 months ahead, and so, but you can. So if Powell and company stay on this,
because I've drunk the blue juice from the worm, I can see.
well, if let's say they do what they normally do, a quarter point cut, and then they sort of just they stay with the philosophy that they've employed, as you say, for the entirety of Powell's tenure. So then where are we at in Q1 and Q2 of next year?
My guess is they're going to give us 3 to 4 quarter point cuts to get us down to 4.5 on the Fed funds target. That will help the street. That will help bankers and people that want to go out and do deals, because 5.5, if you add the spread, is a lot. If you're running a trading desk today, you're paying 6 3/4, 7 for money. Does that make you want to go out and buy a treasury bond with a 2 or 3% coupon that Jay Powell helped to issue back in 2020-21? No. That whole market is illiquid. And what's interesting is that in the new proposal for the banks, Basel, they're going to let the banks write off the losses on mortgage-backed securities over 4 years. You know who did this first? The National Association of Insurance Commissioners, who realized a year ago that they had a problem. The folks at the Fed are way behind the curve, way behind the curve. They're just barely keeping up. So on the one hand, I view this as signs of intelligent life, good, because obviously people like Bank of America are underwater. But on the other hand, this notion that we should go back to 3 or 2% on Fed funds is crazy. That's what you were talking about before, Dan, the equity market.
Mm-hmm.
They want to gun those 401ks again, right?
Right.
But the reality is they should probably go down for a while. If we were really going to fight inflation in this country, you would see some pretty poor stock market performance.
Well,
and the crowd is not willing to tolerate that.
Well, it seems to me, and this is where politics comes in too, it seems to me they're going to try to run the gauntlet here. If they can get away with increasing prices on middle America by 20%, while wages have, just generally speaking, while wages have declined, if they can get away with that over the next 4 years and still get Kamala elected, well, then there's nothing that would inhibit them with respect to monetary policy.
Think about what a point cut over the next 12 months by the Fed does to home prices. Okay, home prices are going to be going up double digits again. And in the biography I just came out with on Stan Middleman, the founder of Freedom Mortgage, Stan comes out and says, yeah, we're going to have a little rally now. We're going to see home prices go up for the next couple of years. And then we're going to have a maxi reset like 2008 in 2028. As Stan likes to say, misery on the 8th, right? And he's right.
Well,
he's been doing this for a long time. He's the only privately owned mortgage shop in the United States. He's got $600-700 billion worth of servicing, which he built all by himself. He doesn't take private equity money. It's one of the largest family-owned companies in this country. And he's a very astute observer of the economics of lending. It's not that difficult, but it does take discipline and it takes focus. So if Stan's right, we're going to have a big reset in 2028. That's when the Republicans ought to be looking to take over.
Well, if Harris wins, she said she's going to give new home buyers $25,000 to put down. So what's that going to do to the market?
She's insane. The problem with the Democrats, Amy, is that they only understand demand-side stimulus. They never think about supply. And the Biden people have been gunning the housing market for 4 years. But they are so incompetent and so inept that they haven't been able to get much done. They politicize Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Nobody really wants to get a loan from them. They're much better off at the FHA. If you're a low-income first-time home buyer, go to the FHA. Don't go to a bank, by the way. Go talk to a broker. Don't go to a bank. Wrong, okay? So, the Biden people are telling low-income families to go to Fannie Mae, which is hideous. you get much worse execution there. So at least these people don't even know how to help consumers. It's sad. It really is.
Just these guys. It's from Jay Powell to Jason Furman. I mean, Jason Furman was Obama's top economic advisor, so at least he knew why the government borrows money, unlike Jared Bernstein. But anyway, he
that is funny on many levels.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't have the background in music and social work that Jared Bernstein does. So I mean, it's a give and a take. So Jason Furman is at Harvard too. He's supposed to be seen as like a serious, sort of independent-minded economist, and then he writes a piece like this in the Journal that Kamala Harris is the safer economic choice. He pays no attention to price controls or these subsidies like the one Amy just mentioned. He just focuses on, tariffs and Trump's mercantilism is unhelpful, which I generally agree. And Kamala Harris and Biden have been unhelpful too, but she's not as serious about it as Trump is, and that she'll let Jay Powell be Jay Powell where Trump would not. And that's the sum total of why somehow Harris is the safer economic choice. Would you like to respond to that?
This is the problem.
Yeah.
You see, the Treasury is the source of inflation. One of the fascinating things I've been doing the last couple of months, I'm revising my first book, Inflated, to be released next year. It came out in 2010, so I needed a new chapter to talk about the last 15 years, which is very interesting, right? But what you see is that going back to the Civil War, we have essentially linked the currency to Treasury debt. They are one and the same. So if we're printing money over at the Treasury with these huge deficits, what can the Fed do about inflation? The answer is nothing. They can facilitate, they can dance around and, go out to Jackson Hole and have meetings, but the Treasury is the source of the inflation. So unless Kamala Harris is going to become a deficit hawk, the answer is no, we're going to have very stiff inflation. And I think what Posen was alluding to today in the interview is that what happens if Jay cuts rates today and then we get bad prints on inflation? He's going to be totally discredited. And I think that's unfortunately what's going to happen.
He is Christopher Whalen, investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Ford Men, From Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris, thanks as always.
Great day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
Dan Proft here for Willows Academy. You've heard me talk about Willows Academy for years. Willows is an authentically Catholic all-girls school in Des Plaines that supports traditional values. For nearly 50 years, Willows has partnered with families in the Chicagoland area to educate young women who will change the world. On September 20th, that's Friday, they're hosting a prominent author of Awake But Not Woke, Noelle Meering, who you heard us interview last week. They invited our listeners to an exclusive presentation at the school on how your family can react and respond effectively to the woke ideology permeating our society. This inspiring yet practical presentation will describe how parents can respond and protect families and provide vital guidance and much-needed leadership to often misguided friends and family members. To RSVP, just visit willowsacademy.org/woke. That's willowsacademy.org/woke. Don't miss author Noelle Meering as she discusses her book, Awake But Not Woke, at Willows Academy in Des Plaines this coming Friday at 6 p.m. To RSVP, go to willowsacademy.org/woke.
This is David Hochberg with another emergency mortgage update. You don't, I repeat, you don't have to refinance with your current mortgage company. Lynn called her current lender, Wells Fargo, to refinance. Bad move. Wells quoted her a rate in the fives with over $3,500 in discount points. Another bad move. Lynn set up a conference call with me and her Wells loan officer. Turns out Wells Fargo's rate without the discount points was the same as my rate, but my closing costs were $1,000 lower. Don't pay thousands of dollars in discount points and higher closing costs, which is the game Rocket, Wells, and other online lenders play. If you secured a mortgage after March of 2022, call Team Hochberg, not your current mortgage company or an online lender, for a free mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced, personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The United States Surgeon General has issued a new warning about a threat to the mental health of adults. We'll pour over that warning at 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Jesse Smollett asked the Illinois Supreme Court to overturn his conviction. One in custody after a deadly fire in Portage, Indiana, and the Cubs lose to the A's. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
They hope to get answers they demand. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The House Task Force investigating the first Trump assassination attempt will get a Secret Service briefing today on the second attempt.
They think race car driving is dangerous? No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, so we have to keep it safe.
Former President Trump at a town hall in Flint, Michigan, his first event since the attempt thwarted Sunday at a Trump golf course in Florida, where a suspect is now in custody. Ahead of the former president's rally tonight on New York's Long Island, he says he needs more security amid calls for Congress to provide more Secret Service funding. But Republican Senator Rand Paul tells Fox Business,
these were errors of willpower, not manpower. Now, like Washington, everything else, somebody fails at their job, you give them more money. No, why don't we replace the people who didn't do their job and have better people in those positions?
Vice President Harris at a Q&A with black journalists in Philadelphia says she called the former president after the second attempt and told him she condemns political violence, adding,
we can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements.
Now, this morning, Harris got an endorsement from more than 100 Republicans who served in senior roles under past GOP presidents, including William Webster, who was the CIA and FBI director for Reagan and the first President Bush. It's up to 12 deaths in the pager explosion attacks in Lebanon, targeting militants with Hezbollah, which blames Israel and vows revenge. The pagers were apparently rigged with explosives manufactured by a company in Hungary.
I reached out to BAC, no response. The Associated Press is reporting that BAC is starting to look like a shell company. The U.S. says they had no heads-up warning about the attack.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. Sean Diddy Combs woke up in jail a second day in New York City, where the rapper and music producer will try again at a hearing today to be freed on bond as Combs faces sex trafficking and racketeering federal charges. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Jury deliberations continue today in the trial of the former AT&T Illinois president accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. Following closing arguments at the Dirksen Federal Building yesterday, the jury did deliberate for about an hour and a half without reaching a verdict. Will County authorities working to identify remains of a 1968 cold case homicide. The remains were exhumed last Friday. Now a portion has been sent to a forensic genetic genealogy company in Texas to obtain DNA analyst. A third arrest has been made connected to recent social media threats directed at schools in Joliet. The 12-year-old child is believed to be a student at Dirksen Junior High School. The ongoing debate over whether to keep ShotSpotter, the technology used by police to alert them when gunfire is heard, will come to a head with a vote at the Chicago City Council today. Aldermen backing the tech like Ray Lopez say they will call for a special city council meeting today to override calls by Mayor Brandon Johnson that the buck actually stops with him. One person is in custody, all following a deadly fire in northwest Indiana. The blaze broke out yesterday. 87-year-old Maria Leal died as a result of that fire. Police say one of their canine detectives detected flammable liquids at the scene, and the suspect had made threats to start that fire. Cubs strand 9 runners in a 4-3 loss to the A's. White Sox blanked by the Angels 5-0. AM 560 news time is 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
4 weeks, Wall Street's been anticipating the Federal Reserve meeting wrapping up today with anticipation the Fed will cut interest rates by 1/4%. However, now the CME's FedWatch tool says markets are suggesting there's a 65% probability the Fed will cut by 0.5%. Alaska Airlines is expected to close its purchase of Hawaiian Airlines in the coming days. U.S. transportation officials have okayed the merger after the two airlines agreed to maintain service on routes where they don't have much competition. Dollar stores are expanding aggressively and updating their locations. The Wall Street Journal says Dollar General and Dollar Tree are together planning 1,300 new locations, betting that a better in-store experience will bring shoppers in. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
There's a lot going on in today's America, and it can get hard to turn your mind off at night. That's why conservatives have been turning to Beam's Dream. Dream has improved 15 million nights of sleep, and it can improve yours too. Their Dream formula helps you put your day to bed. Just one scoop helps you unlock a full 8 hours of sleep. It might just be the easiest thing you do all day and night. Beam's Dream Formula is the key to falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Thanks to its proprietary ingredient stack, mornings feel refreshing, not like a groggy wake-up call. This is a simple, zero-effort addition to any nightly ritual. Simply mix Dream into hot water or milk, then froth and enjoy. Try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder for yourself and enjoy this limited-time offer of up to 35% off when you go to shopbeam.com/America and use the code America at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/America and use the code America for up to 35% off.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and one-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Kennedy inbound, 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound, fully 1 hour now out to the big airport. Ike inbound, 77 from Manheim into the old post office. Stevenson in, 65 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 44 heavy minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, a very warm day. Our high today reaching 86. It'll be clear tonight, low 61. And then sunny tomorrow, the high near 89. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night, low 68. Partly sunny, warm day Friday, the high at 87. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
It's time for Dan Proft's parenting tips. Whoa! Dan Proft's parenting tips. Whoa! Tell your kids to shut up and listen to him.
You're a child. So, we focused a lot about kids' mental health over the last several years with COVID and smartphones and
Did they ever ask us how we're
school
doing?
closures.
Mm-hmm.
What about parents?
Yeah, what about parents?
Well,
we had to watch our kids be abused by the government for 2 years.
Surgeon General Vivek Murthy hasn't forgotten about you. He has issued a new warning. This just in. Becoming a parent is dangerous for your mental health.
What?
Yes. Kids.
It's the greatest honor ever to be a mom.
Kids are a source of mental health challenges for the adults. 33% of parents report high levels of stress in the past month compared to 20% of other adults. The childless cat ladies are very mentally sound.
What is it? Everything about cat. The election of cats.
48% of parents say that most days their stress is completely overwhelming compared to 26% of adults.
Get a grip and act like the adult, okay?
So you want to relieve the stress in your life. That's the number one killer.
It's kids.
Stress.
Oh, stress.
Stress is the number one killer. And then the cause of this, at least the delta between adults with kids and adults without kids, that kids is the variable. So
Why in God's green earth would they put that study out?
improve mental health by
not having babies
or sending your kids away. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Is this why you don't have children, Dan?
Let me run through some of these stressors associated with kids, see if they're familiar at all to our friends and listening audience. Kids are the source of stressors, including financial strain.
Well, that's true.
Time demands.
Mm.
Their health.
Yeah.
Their safety.
Oh, I always worry about that.
Your isolation and loneliness, like
That's-
now with you being
Don't make me cry.
an old maid.
At least I have my cat.
Mhm.
Meow, meow. My
Um,
cat slept next to my head yesterday.
Technology and social media.
That sucks, too.
And then cultural pressures and children's futures. All these things are stressful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you can do to, again, reduce that stress is jettison the kids. What do you think? Stop going to parents' weekends.
2 weekends in a row. I look like such a loser.
Cut the apron strings. Policymakers should bolster support for child care financial assistance programs, such as child care subsidies and child income tax credits. This is the Surgeon General. He has a lot to say about economics, too. Sort of in the same vein as a Tony Fauci, who is an expert in multiple fields. Also, he advocates for universal preschool, early childhood education programs such as Early Head Start, and then Head Start after you're done with Early Head Start, and then programs that help nurture family dynamics such as early childhood home visiting programs. Right. So here's the point. Get rid of your child. Get rid of the kids. Give them to the Murthy is saying, just give them to the government.
Right.
They'll raise them. They'll put them to work.
Mm-hmm.
They'll pay for their stuff. They'll extract stuff from you.
They'll
pay for
try
their
to
stuff.
convince them to transition.
Well,
if they're thinking about maybe being a tomboy. Oh, no, you're not a tomboy. You're a boy. Get her in the surgery.
See, parents are thinking about like their family and their progeny, like in a private family kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Surgeon General Murthy is trying to get us to think about is a more holistic approach to the next generation, which includes their service to the Borg or the committee, as we were talking about earlier with Roger Kimball. So get the kids right into that cradle to grave pipeline and live a stress-free life.
But also that study or that recommendation that, that kids are stressful is a way of the government saying, don't have more kids. Don't have any kids. Be childless. And I don't know why that is. Why do they want? Because that's what they promoted in sex ed when I was a kid was we're not on a farm anymore, so you don't have to have a baker's dozen of children. 6 is too much. 4.
Well,
I remember them saying that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's already happening.
Okay.
That's the good news. The bad news is you have all these kids out there running around. We got to do something with them because they're just incubators of stress, and stress is death. So save yourself.
Okay, save myself.
Give your kid to the government. It is worth noting the number of never married women is growing to more than 30%. The number of married households with children has declined from 37% in 1976 to 21% today.
Wow.
Yeah. Number of married households with children is only 1 in 5 today. So, we're doing a good job. We're saving lives out there of parents.
1 in
Or
5
non-parents.
households are families with children.
The number of married households with children.
Okay.
Married households with children.
Okay.
And never married women is approaching 30%. So this is all going well. We're growing the ranks of childless cat ladies, that are living stress-free lives, which is wonderful. We've got married households, a much lower percentage of married households with children, so that's stress relief for those households.
What about
80% now are stress relief? We got to deal with the other 20.
What about unmarried men?
This is where Vivek Murthy comes in with his one-stop solution for unloading your kids to the government. I like it. I think it's good.
Anything in there about unmarried men? What that?
What about
What
them?
is? I mean, is it at 30%? Is it 40%?
Well, you know,
I mean, I
you
just
can
wanna
sort of
know.
extrapolate if unmarried women is approaching, never married women is approaching 30%, then
Okay.
yeah.
Never married men is probably approaching that too.
Yeah, you've got a lot of the incels out there too, right? Playing video games and so on and so forth, which is also great stress relief because work can be a real stressor too. So you need to unburden yourself of what has been, like getting a job and having a family. And you say, well, my kid has some special needs, and so I need, for example, to make sure that before I turn him over to the government to make sure he's provided for, that they put him on Adderall. They're happy to do that in conjunction with the drug companies. By the way, this study out too, since we've talked about this before, study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, ADHD drugs linked to more than 5 times greater risk of developing psychosis or mania. Research among the first to find a relationship between escalating doses of the drugs, amphetamines in particular, it is a Schedule II narcotic, and a greater likelihood of psychotic symptoms. The drugs include Adderall, Vyvanse, and generic amphetamines such as dextroamphetamine. The link between amphetamines and psychosis isn't new because amphetamines increase levels of dopamine in the brain. And one of the doctors associated with this study from Stanford, the drugs can flood the brain with dopamine, and when you flood the brain with dopamine, you potentially can cause psychosis. Interesting. The Northwestern medicine physician, the United States is having sort of an amphetamine moment right now.
Oh, we are?
An amphetamine moment.
How are we gonna celebrate that?
The popularity and use of amphetamines is getting higher and higher, right? Which is why a friend of mine in pharma suggests that Adderall is going to be the next Oxycontin. But hey, let that be the government's problem. It's not yours.
Dan and Amy trade the kids in for cats.
Yeah. And don't move to Springfield, Ohio. Bridget in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, it's interesting. First, they don't even want to have children. They will abort them very quickly. And then when you do birth them, they want to take them right away. I want to hearken back to your article that you've been referencing all morning from Leibowitz, and same thing in Screw Tape. Nonsense in the intellect may reinforce corruption in the will.
Mm-hmm.
Get these kids early, teach them the nonsense, undo critical thinking, and you got them for life.
Yeah, break their will. Yeah, right. Exactly. Thanks for calling. It's a wonderful program. But then you live stress-free. And then, imagine, especially with the incineration of the planet, where are we now? 2030, 2035, 2040?
Before we all die.
This is why the intellectual leaders of our time, like AOC, are not having kids, because you want to bring a kid into this world. Think about the stress of that, and then it's all going to go away in 5 minutes anyway. So what's the point?
Well, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, they're only having 2 kids because of the environment.
Too many. Glenn in Orlando.
Oh, that daughter's adorable, though. She's cute.
Yeah, I think the government should really focus, and parents should focus on teaching kids character, not worrying about if there's too much stress with kids. And by the way, the worst father in America is the federal government.
Yeah, it does appear that, as William Bennett famously said, that the government has never raised their child and it never will. But it houses them, and I mean that sort of an inventory style way. It inventories people very well. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Listening to you guys, I was thinking of what's Reagan's, the 9 most dangerous words in the English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this also goes along the lines of, let's create a problem so we can solve it. Just more government. Let's not try to support families or support mothers to be better mothers or fathers to be better fathers, to have opportunities to do that. Let's not say, okay, here's an amount, a scholarship, so you can send your child to a school that is good for your child. No, we're going to make the decisions for you. And then one other thing, when Amy was meowing, I was thinking you should have the old Meow Mix commercial for every time you talk about Kamala. Meow, 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 meow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Kevin.
Yeah.
Ken in Plainfield.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with the study. I have 6 kids, and I don't think I'm any more psychotic now than when I was single. You just change your worries. Instead of, being worried about me getting in trouble with the cops after I get out of the bar, I worry about my kids getting in trouble with the cops.
Right.
It's just a different set of worries.
There you go. All right. Very good.
I love his attitude.
Thanks for the call, Ken.
He's called in before.
Yeah, but I mean,
father of 6.
but in this,
and he's doing it. He's killing it.
In this atomized society, I mean, you're supposed to just focus on yourself. You don't have time for other people.
Oh, that's right. We should be selfish.
We're just this is the opportunity to have it all, to just indulge appetites and issue responsibilities. I mean, isn't that where we all want to be? Well, that's where Vivek Murthy wants us to be.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor tradition, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
This is Carol Platt-Liebel for Townhall.com. There's now been a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. So he survived more assassination attempts than his opponent has national media interviews. We know what the press would say had, God forbid, Kamala Harris faced assassination twice. When there's violence toward the left, the right's rhetoric is blamed. But when it comes to Donald Trump, leftist politicians and the media take no responsibility for having created what they love to call, quote, a climate of hate, unquote. In fact, the day of the attempt, NBC's Lester Holt appeared to blame it on Trump's own fierce rhetoric. So Trump essentially had it coming. But both assassination attempts have come after multiple journalists and politicians, including Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, have repeatedly called Trump a dictator and a threat to democracy. Democrats' unhinged denunciations of Trump have long been beyond the pale. They need to stop.
Dan Proft here for Low T Center. If you're feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test with their on-site lab. You get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is where I go and have for the past several years to get tested. It's not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month, so there's no need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
A healthy fawn may be seen frolicking in its pen. Who would have not survived? Or a rehabilitated horse might be running in the pasture that had once been malnourished and not used to human kindness. Their success is from the dedicated volunteers at Paws Critter Crossing, an amazing not-for-profit organization that saves critters in crisis. Paws Critter Crossing, located right here in Chicagoland, is a rehabilitation center for injured and orphaned wildlife and a sanctuary for farm animals that have been abused or abandoned. Please help PCC raise desperately needed funds so they can continue their mission in giving these animals a second chance in life by registering for their fundraiser event on September 28th. Go to pawscrittercrossing.org and click on events. You can buy tickets for their dinner, which includes an open bar and entertainment. Experience the bidding excitement on their online auction, or just hit the donate option. Tickets are on sale now through September 20th. Tickets will not be sold at the door. pawscrittercrossing.org. Click on events. No donation is too small.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, hey, back in the day, were you ever invited to one of those P. Diddy freak-offs, or what do they call them?
Freak-offs.
Yeah, freak-offs.
No, of course not.
No?
I read that complaint against him. He's a sick. I mean, if these allegations are true, which I'm sure they are because they raided his house so long ago, he is a sexual deviant devil. I mean, he had male sex workers. He had female sex workers that he basically, he kidnapped them and drugged them and held them hostage for days at a time. And he'd have them have sex with each other and then he'd record it and then masturbate. And it's just,
wow,
it's sick. And there was bottles of lubricant all over. And then he abused them so bad for such long periods of time, Dan, that then afterwards they had to give them IVs to help get them stable so that they could leave, if they wanted to. So there's a special place in hell for him, and they was denied bail, and he's going to spend his rest of his life in jail.
Maybe a little Jeffrey Epstein too here. Well, I mean, hopefully he's got one buddy that'll stick by him and maybe visit him in prison. He could use probably a pep talk right now.
I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this. But this is part of what is important about giving back.
Well, so, boy, please do tell. What work was Barack Obama talking about then? Back when he was Puff Daddy, before he became P. Diddy. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like I said, it's nice to have friends in your corner.
And you know who Diddy's not friends with? He doesn't like Trump.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by. We're on the verge of a race war. White men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking, it's real dangerous.
Yeah. Real. That's dangerous.
Dangerous. Well,
and he's not dangerous by any chance.
Well, I hope he doesn't.
Trafficking.
I hope he doesn't come across any honkies with bad attitudes in the joint.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll talk about the latest news on the attempt on Trump's life over the weekend with famed FBI profiler, retired, James Fitzgerald. The profiler from the Unabomber case, joins us, 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
News on the death of one of the great songwriters of our time in just a moment. 8:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Hundreds of handheld pagers exploded near simultaneously in parts of Lebanon and Syria, killing at least 12, many of those broadcast on closed-circuit television. One of the pagers going off in Lebanon. Many members of the terror group Hezbollah were targeted. More than 2,800 wounded, 200 critically. Former President Trump says his second apparent assassination attempt shows his first presidency was consequential. Trump taking part in a town hall moderated by Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Sanders. The former president listing his priorities if reelected.
Day one, we're doing two things. Closing the border and baby drill. Two things. We're going to get down the prices.
Federal prosecutors are claiming Sean Diddy Combs has been abusing and exploiting women since at least 2008. The hip-hop mogul appeared in a New York court Tuesday after being arrested on counts of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Combs had offered to post a $50 million bond and to wear a GPS monitor, but that has been denied. 70s singer and songwriting icon J.D. Souther has died. Souther, famous for collaborations with the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt, Don Henley, James Taylor, and dozens of others. They were the stars of their era. Co-writing several of the biggest hits for the Eagles like that. Only Lonely, Best of My Love, New Kid in Town, Heartache Tonight. He also had a solo hit with that song, You're Only Lonely. You heard him with James Taylor and Her Town Too, and the Don Henley solo smash, Heart of the Matter. In 2013, Souther was inducted into the Songwriting Hall of Fame. His representatives say John David Souther died peacefully at his home in New Mexico at age 78. No cause of death was given. In other news we're following this morning, jury deliberations resume in the trial of former AT&T Illinois president accused of trying to bribe ex-Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan. Following closing arguments yesterday, the jury deliberated for about an hour and a half without reaching a verdict. State's High Court heard arguments yesterday in the former Empire actor Jesse Smollett's appeal, and the state's gun ban was debated before a federal judge in East St. Louis yesterday. That bench trial continues this morning. Cubs left 9 runners stranded in a 4-3 loss to the A's. Ian Happ had 2 home runs in that loss. White Sox had just 6 hits in a 5-0 loss to the Angels. They take on the Halos again this afternoon. The news service of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Chicago needs election judges for November 5th and the presidential election. Earn between $170 and $230 for your service. Go to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and save. 8:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and White, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and White with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
There is no foundation like the rock of honesty and fairness. And when you begin to build your life on that rock, with the cement of the faith in God that you have, then you have a real start. Those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. If you and I have the courage to tell our elected officials that we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more at earthworksinc.com.
If you're a business owner, manager, HR director, anybody that needs to hire people and staff, and you're in McHenry County, this is for you. How's it going? Do you have the people you need? How's the quality of your applications? How much time do you spend on staffing issues? It's a problem, isn't it? You've tried all the job postings, career sites, and nothing is working. Internet job postings just don't work anymore. Are you finally ready to do something that works? Contact Express Employment Professionals in Crystal Lake. It's working for their clients. Express Employment Professionals in Crystal Lake has people that they are placing. They find out what you need and get you those people. Better employees, less turnaround, just better results. Stop the madness. Make Express your staffing partner and get back to running the business and being a good capitalist. Express Employment Professionals for McHenry County. Go to expresshires.com. That's expresshires.com. Or call 815-788-8556. End the understaffed cycle.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Dell Technologies. Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. So great ideas can happen right now. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now. The Kennedy right now is at about 2 hours. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Avoid it if you can. Kennedy outbound 1 hour back out to the big airport. The Ike right now 90 minutes. 390 into the old post office. Stevenson Jam solid Harlem to Kedzie. Right now it's an hour into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and very warm. High 87. Clear and 61 overnight. Partly cloudy and 62 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Ron DeSantis, since the failed assassination attempt on Trump, number 2, over the weekend in West Palm, has announced that he is going to do his own state-level investigation. He's going to have state-level investigators also examine what happened here because they could bring state-level charges against the person in custody. And he defended that announcement and that decision and explained it in a little bit more detail yesterday.
I think what will reveal, I think, is the important thing. What the state does is going to be made public. I mean, if you guys know who are from Florida, you can FOIA a lot of the stuff that's done in these investigations under Florida sunshine laws, and then they have a charge to be very frank and exercise candor with the public. I want the information to get out. I do not want any of the information kept under wraps. We're not a party to anything that happened in terms of the state of Florida government. I mean, we have been asked to help in the past on security, and we're always willing to do that. But that wasn't our primary. We were not responsible for it that day. We've not been responsible for any of the prosecutions that have been brought against the former president. So we're in a great situation to be able to look at this with clear eyes, get answers, and then deliver those answers to the public. I don't think anyone can honestly claim that the federal government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's just the reality. That's just how these guys operate. Apart from any type of political bias, that's how it's been really for many, many years. That's not how it's going to be here. And so we'll cooperate with all agency or all levels of government because I think that some of those gun charges may be appropriate to bring, but not to the exclusion of bringing a charge for something like attempted murder.
I mean, it's a not so subtle dig at the FBI. You can't read it any other way than to basically say, look, we don't trust what the FBI is going to do in terms of investigating what happened at Trump International on Sunday. That's what he's saying. For reaction to that and more discussion on what we know 48 hours after the fact, I guess close to 72 now, James Fitzgerald joins us, retired FBI special agent and criminal profiler from the Unabomber case. Now the co-host of the Cold Red podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, and all the usual platforms. Cold Red is the Fitzgerald podcast. James Fitzgerald, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan, always good to be on with you, although never for reasons like this.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, how do you react to Ron DeSantis's decision to run a parallel investigation?
Yeah, I like it a lot, actually. There is no reason, there is no separation of jurisdictions here. I mean, there is legally in that sense, but they have every right to do their own investigations, certainly for any state crimes that
would be committed or certainly charged, or some kind of indictment that would come forth. So they have every right to do it. I'm wondering if they've had a chance. They're FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigators. They're good folks. I've worked with them over the years. There's agents and interviewers. There's profilers we trained there. And I'd be very curious if they had a chance to interview this most recent shooter. I don't use their names on the air, give them any credit. So the most, Trump 2 assassination attempt shooter. And I'd like to see what kind of information they would get and how long before that would possibly be released to the public, even through a regular FOIA request, as DeSantis mentioned. So, I trust the ground agents in my former agency, but I know now it used to be the very top tier that I didn't trust, but I know that's metastasized a bit to the middle level, mid-management level. And again, not all of them, but there's some in there with agendas. In fact, I think the SAC, the special agent in charge of the Miami division, before he got promoted to that position, he had to scrub all his anti-Trump stuff.
Right.
Over,
Jeffrey Beltry.
On Facebook, et cetera. And he is, ostensibly in charge of this investigation. So from the federal level. So I like seeing DeSantis and the FDLE have their tentacles in it. And let's see how they compare. The Bureau's not used to this. Usually they come in and take over, and ultimately they'll have jurisdiction. But so far, it's only weapons offenses this guy's been charged with, not an actual attempted assassination part. And it's weird, the prosecutor in that county, and I'm not sure, I think that was a local prosecutor, he actually laid out a defense for any defense attorneys who would be involved within hours, saying, well, I don't think we could ever charge him because he didn't pull a trigger, didn't really have him in sights. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Prosecutor, for putting the defense out there, or at least one aspect of it, to potential lawyers who are representing this guy. So bottom line, to answer your question, I'm glad FDLE is involved, and let's see if it's kind of a checks and balances to the other investigation or investigations going on.
Yeah, but how can he get a fair investigation if they're also investigating Trump on other charges and other allegations?
Well, again, we're delineating the feds from the locals here, and locals meaning FDLE, really the state police in effect in Florida. Amy, I like to think there are some agents there who, again, with that figurative Chinese wall up in their brain and in their offices, and say, all right, these guys are working this part of Trump. We're working this part of Trump, meaning people trying to kill him. And hopefully they can keep some level of objectivity in there. And of course, they have to answer to prosecutors and U.S. attorneys. And hopefully those people are objective and empirical, and they're looking at just the facts and nothing else. But I know as an agent myself, I could provide that separation, if you will. But I just hope the other agents and the supervisors there working this case can do the same thing.
Yeah, one can hope. The relationship between the FBI and Secret Service, we asked this question of Mike Olson, who's retired Secret Service agent, the other day, and his answer is basically, like in terms of the nature of the investigation the FBI does into what transpired, both in Butler, that's been ongoing for 2 months, as well as now in West Palm. He sort of said, sort of personnel specific. How does the field office director in Miami for Secret Service get along with the field office director in Miami for the FBI, for example, in this case? Is that your view on it? Do you have any general comment you would make on the relationship between Secret Service and the FBI, to the question of who investigates the investigators? Or is it, as Olson said, it's just really sort of relationship specific?
Well, there's probably some of both that fits in. What I always found as a working street agent in my New York City years for 7 years, and then even as a profiler, the street agents and even a level or two up, they get along great with other agencies, with us, with the NYPD and New York State Police, and certainly other agencies around the country, including other federal agencies. The worker bees almost always get along fine. It's the bosses and the egos that kick in up top. And of course, you're dealing more with the political substructure there. So sometimes you will find turf, battles. And again, that relationship thing, do the two bosses, top bosses of each office play golf together or tennis or poker, whatever? Do their wives know each other, spouses, or do they genuinely dislike each other for for whatever reason. And I would hope in a case with this kind of worldwide profile, and I mean, that's exactly what this is, any of those types of differences or affiliations would be put aside, and the objective element to it. And what's going to be unusual here, and you brought it up early on, Dan, is we do have a sort of a third-party investigative agency here that just through osmosis and through its very existence investigating this series of crimes or the crime itself, it's gonna really make the other ones be very conscious of what they do, what they say. And what I'm not clear about is, has anyone interviewed this guy yet? I mean, has he lawyered up right away? He seems like the type, with everything I've read about him, that he'd be willing to spouse off to whoever talked to him, probably on the I-95 there during the car stop.
Right.
And but you know, some lawyers, and again, who would the lawyer be that represents him? That will be very interesting too. Who pays for that lawyer? Is it a public defender? Is it some high, falutin guy out of Florida or woman? You know, who knows? But that'll tell us something. Who's putting the money up to defend this guy? And that in of itself will have its own story behind it.
Maybe
I've heard of no legal representation yet.
Yeah, maybe Kamala can get her friends at the Minnesota Freedom Fund to represent him. Anyway, I digress. So, yeah, speaking of the interaction, so the question, one of the questions that's out there, and this is a neutral question, it's not leading because I understand the volume that, generally speaking, I understand the sort of volume you're dealing with at FBI and Secret Service. But should this guy have been on FBI and or Secret Service's radar with his public profile and then the public profile combined with a criminal history, combined with a self-published book where he talks openly about the assassination of Trump and him doing it. And then he's had these interactions overseas and on American soil. Records show Customs and Border Protection officials knew that he had traveled to Warsaw and then Turkey in 22 and 23, admitting in an interview with them he had been recruiting as many as 100 foreign fighters from various countries. This is all documented in reporting that is now out. The Department of Homeland Security declined to pursue the matter further. And then you had a retired CIA analyst, I guess, at the time, say he was, basically a whack job. That was her experience with him on the ground in Eastern Europe. A nurse said the same thing to Customs and Border Protection in an interview. So it's like the combination of interactions with law enforcement, what people in law enforcement were saying about this guy, his profile and interviews in the New York Times, the fact he himself was interviewed by Customs and Border Protection. 23 years, we just memorialized the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. We were talking after that, 9/11, after 9/11 was supposed to be, interagency, federal, state, and local communication and coordination. So these gaps in communication don't exist, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I wonder what your assessment is from what we know about all of these interactions and this profile that he had.
Well, yeah, I'll go a few different directions here, but yeah, even the radios didn't work on the ground in Butler the day.
Right.
This communication deficit we had at 9/11, 20 some years ago. Even the radios didn't work. I don't think we had that problem here. It reminds me though, there's a viral video right now, and you may have seen it. I think it was in New Hampshire, but two agents come to the door wearing jeans and casually dressed FBI agents, and they want to talk to some guy about an ex post he made. And the guy keeps saying, "Show me your creds, give me your full name." And of course, he's recording the whole thing. And they wouldn't do it, and they kind of walk away. And it's getting a lot of, it's going viral, a lot of hits. So, so why didn't two agents like that go to the door of this guy, who has all these footprints behind him of all sort of criminal elements and associations or international associations in that regard? And I'm a student of history. We've talked before, Dan and Amy, and certainly on your podcast. But if there's any comparison to be made between the Butler shooter, I see him as a John Hinckley, wanting that performance, get Jodie Foster to fall in love with him, whatever. I see this guy from Sunday more of a Lee Harvey Oswald type, traveling to other countries, seeing himself as some sort of a soldier of fortune, or perhaps misfortune in this guy's case, And where with Oswald, it was his fascination with Cuba. Of course, he lived in the Soviet Union for a while. This guy has connections to other parts of the world, including Afghanistan, and at least tangentially to Iran. And again, I'm not saying the sophistication level is the same with this guy as perhaps Oswald, if you want to give him a little bit of that, because he was successful. But there are many, many elements to this that I can't believe there wasn't more of a watch on this guy and more interviews being done on a monthly basis. These same two agents knocking on his door and saying, all right, what are you doing? What kind of weapons do you have? And at least try to catch him in some lies. But apparently all that fell through, and he was allowed to lay in wait for 12 hours, apparently, in half covered by some bushes outside a golf course where the former president, possibly future president of the U.S., was about to tee off.
Yeah. The arguments we're hearing from Ron Rowe, the acting director of Secret Service, not dissimilar to what we hear intermittently from Chris Wray and directors previous to him, that the response is we need more personnel. We need more personnel. We need to make sure our counter snipers are trained, that they're all Chris Kyles, and so on and so forth. But I mean, I need more color on this, like just from a layman's perspective, common sense perspective. You have to persuade me. So what would more personnel have done on July 13th or on Sunday? It's always this sort of appeal, like we're doing the best we can with what we have. But is that really true? Is that your sense of it? Just several more agents or a little bit more counter sniper training, and that agency is going to be humming?
Well, one thing that some friends of mine have posited, and I don't disagree necessarily, perhaps Secret Service should get out of any of their investigative duties, including credit card fraud and counterfeiting, and move completely to presidential protection, executive protection for our top-level political leaders. Maybe that's what they should do full-time and give off those other duties to other agencies somewhere. Including looking for cocaine in the White House. So that's one factor there, I think, that should have taken place. I think coordination with police, just putting, and I've seen this, I knew this as a former police officer back in the day, just putting an empty police car around the four corners or even the six sections, if you will, of the golf course could say, oh, boy, that officer can come back any time. I better not lay in wait here. That in of itself could dissuade someone from kicking in and trying some operation like this. They move somewhere else, I get it, but then you have more guard, more surveillance in that particular area. You kind of force them out of certain areas where you have the personnel to actually watch them. So there are ways around this without, I don't think the Secret Service should be rewarded with a higher amount of money or a bigger budget right now, but they should be forced to reassess and position their personnel to maybe make it full-time protection and double, if not triple or quadruple, who it is for the presidential candidate, who is obviously the nexus of much of all of these assassination attempts and threats. The threats, of course, being put out in many cases by the other person who's running for the position of president in the U.S.
James Fitzgerald, retired FBI special agent and criminal profiler on the Unabomber case, now the co-host of the Cold Red podcast, Cold Red, where you can get it. You get that on Spotify, Apple, all the usual platforms. James, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
It's Jeep Adventure Days at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Bettenhausen has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry in and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee or Jeep Compass. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at cdjroflockport.com.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Doing anything fun today?
Just preparing for my little jaunts to Ireland.
Oh, that's right.
I got my passport.
Yay, Dan got his passport.
I don't know why I didn't know about this. The Chicago Passport Agency, which is connected to the State Department on Congress and Clark.
Yeah.
And then you didn't need a birth certificate because I had lost the passport and so on and so forth.
Because you had a passport card too.
It was easy.
Okay.
So,
but you should still get a copy of your birth certificate.
I did. I picked it up at the county.
Oh, you did?
No.
Wait, let's frame it.
Yeah.
Pull it in, put it behind bulletproof glass, fireproof glass, waterproof glass, because you need that when you die.
Right.
Well, to get a death certificate, you got to have a birth certificate.
If I'm dead, I'm not really worried about it.
I'll take care of it. All right, it's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
There's another Trump rally to secure tonight. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's on New York's Long Island the day after a town hall event in Michigan.
And I'm relieved that former President Trump is safe, and I want the American people to know that the men and women of the FBI are working tirelessly to get to the bottom of what happened.
FBI Director Chris